Radio style.
It's your boy Greg.
I'm loving the studio. Like, as soon as I walked in, I was like, this is it right here. I just got into my element. I'm loving it. I just really enjoyed listening to Neil. It was just a great conversation. Yeah. I mean, this is good. I'm like, okay, this is maybe we'll see after today. We'll see how tonight stands out. Yeah. We'll see.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your homie, Big T.
I'm Miss Amy.
And you are officially tuned in and tapped into the hottest podcast that brings you the latest in music, news, and fashion, and the only show that keeps our ears to the streets.
While you grind and shine.
Hey, it's another Friday night. We are back with a brand new episode of Mud Talk. A very special episode of Mud Talk.
They're all very special.
They are special. But it's Teacher Appreciation Week, so this is extra special. And so we decided to do a Mud Talk exclusive called the Teachers Lounge, where we're going to have some real conversations about teachers and counselors, and
educators,
school, all of that,
the state of our nation and education, whatever.
Pretty much is what we're going to do, the state of the nation of education.
Yeah, this is the State of the Nation address from Mud Talk.
Dun, 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 dun.
Nobody ever listens to us at the White House, but maybe we can get it there.
Maybe we need to send this show to them, and they'll listen to it.
Yeah, we just gotta.
Well, maybe not.
Make good choices as to what we say as far as who's in the office.
Very much so.
I don't want to go to jail.
No, we don't. but all that to the side. How you feeling today, Miss Amy?
I'm good. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I mean, I feel like it's funny that they put Teacher Appreciation Week at like the first week of May, which is the very busiest. If you don't know, let me give you some insight into schools. The busiest month of the school year.
Yes.
The kids are wound up and wild. There's state testing's wrapping up or is wrapped up for people. Grades are due, projects are due, kids are wild, weather's breaking.
Everything just
and then they're like, oh, we should maybe just appreciate teachers because but
this is
it'd be nice if it was chill.
Our appreciation for you. Let's do it during the craziest week ever.
Yes.
So but guess what? You know what makes it better? Is that Mud Talk is doing Appreciation Week. So we're gonna make you feel better, right? Yes. Because we always like to make our people feel better. So
we do.
Before we get into anything else, like we said, this is a special episode because it's Teacher Appreciation Week. And so we have a lot of things that we're going to be discussing when it comes to education and teachers and counselors and parents and a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you have any questions, any comments, shoot them to us. We'll try to read them on the show. And we also have some teachers we're going to shout out later on the show too, because we posted something on our TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram pages. If you knew a teacher or educator who's just dope at what they do and they are impacting the lives of kids, we wanted you to tag them. And we had a bunch of people who tagged some amazing educators. So we're going to shout them out later on the show. But we're going to go ahead and do a quick commercial break. When we come back, me and Miss Amy, we're going to have that discussion about, educators and teachers and everything.
We're actually going to interview each other because we actually hold very different roles in education. So we're going to interview each other and talk about things along the way.
Yes, we're going to step into the Teacher's Lounge.
Yes.
That sounded really
good. The way you like, you growled that. You like knuck if you bucked that.
We're going to step into the Teacher's Lounge. So,
yes.
All right, we're going to go ahead and do a commercial break. When we come back, y'all, we are going to tap into the Teacher's Lounge. So keep it locked. What's good, y'all? We are back here on Mud Talk. Before we say anything, of course, as you guys saw and heard on the commercial, we say shout out to A Servant's Heart LLC for all the amazing things that they do in the community. They actually have a really dope event that's coming up in the city this summer. They have Gospel on the Green, which is an amazing gospel fest. Instead of 1 day this year, it's 2 days this year. So now they're going to have Ty Tribbett. They're going to have Kiki Shear. They're going to have so many amazing people at the Gospel on the Green this year. And actually, we're going to have Rob Campbell, who is the owner of A Servant's Heart LLC. He's going to be on the show for our season finale.
Season finale, 60th show.
Yeah, we're celebrating 60 episodes on the next show. So he'll be here, and he's actually going to be bringing a couple of the artists that are going to be at the Gospel.
Do you think I can get them to sing for me?
Well, a couple of them are local artists, but one of them is.
Do they not sing?
I don't know, but I do. I only know one. I don't know. He didn't give me any.
Hey, guess what? We're having a sing along. I don't care if you sing or not.
Yeah.
We're all singing.
He didn't tell me who was coming. He told me about one. His name is Sax Fifth. He's an amazing saxophonist. Is that what they call him? Saxophonist, right?
He can play saxophone.
Yeah, he's really dope. But like he travels like across the country. Like he's here. He's in Detroit. He's in New York. He is an amazing saxophonist. He's really dope. So I know that he's going to be at Gospel on the Green. I know that RC was talking about bring him on the show, but RC might surprise us with some other people. So
I just want someone to sing to me.
Yes. What do you want them to sing?
I want them to sing Amazing Grace.
Oh.
Is that a gospel song?
It is. Well, we make it gospel. You know, we remix it.
I need it to be remixed into it. I love Amazing Grace is my very favorite song ever of gospel and hymns, and so I want that one.
Yeah, you know what? My favorite gospel song is probably Stomp by Kirk Franklin.
Stomp by Kirk Franklin.
Yeah.
Is there a dance that goes with that?
I'm pretty sure it is. Most time in the Black community, when that song comes on, we do like the electric slide or something. We dance to everything. Gospel, country, boots on the ground.
Doesn't matter. You just take that electric slide and make it everything.
Slide and make it everything.
You got club music, you got gospel, country.
You got it all. So
well, I can electric slide. So
can you?
Yeah.
I would love that. I'd love to see that.
I can electric slide.
So, but yeah, we'll see. Like I said, RC will be on the show. So make sure y'all tune in to that on May 23rd for the Mud Talk season finale. So, all right. Before we do anything else, let's talk about merch.
Yes.
We got some amazing merch. And I'm only bringing it up because Miss Amy is rocking.
It's our trucker hat.
The new trucker hats that just dropped. And they come in all different colors. I was able to go into the merch store earlier. And I took a look at them. So if you love a good trucker hat, if you love crew necks, zip up hoodies, we have polos. We got some Hoochie Daddy shorts for all the Hoochies.
Yes.
Leggings are on there.
And the daddies.
Yeah. But I said the Hoochies. Hoochie Daddies. Hoochie Daddies for the Hoochie Daddies.
I said for the Hoochies and the daddies.
Oh.
And all the above.
You might, what if you're a Hoochie and you're a daddy?
You can wear the shorts.
You can wear the shorts. They got to be above the knee, huh? If you don't wear above the knee shorts.
3-inch inseam. That's what a 3 to 5 inch inseam, preferably 3. Right?
Because if you don't wear the above the knee shorts, then you're not a Hoochie.
Or a daddy.
You're just, because daddies wear them past the knees. If you're a dad, like they have them past the knees.
I feel like it depends on what stage of your. I said daddy, not dad.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Oops.
There is a very big difference.
There's a difference.
This is not the show for that.
It's not. We didn't say Hoochie Dad. It was Hoochie Daddy.
Yes.
Okay.
Hoochie Dad would be below the knee.
Yeah.
But I think you can make these shorts above. You just roll them. So if you want to be the Hoochie Daddy, you roll.
But
if you want to be the Hoochie Dad,
you just leave them alone.
Leave them alone. You're good. So we'll get you some Hoochie Dads or Hoochie Daddies.
Please, whichever you prefer, go copy some merch. It's on the merch store. Go onto our Instagram page, Mud Talk 419. Click the link in our bio, and it would take you to the merch store. Or you can go onto our Facebook page, which is Mud Talk Podcast on Facebook, and click the link. It's pinned at the top of the page, and go copy you some merch.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And then you know what? Take a picture, take a selfie, and then DM us. Send it to us.
And let us know if you're a Hoochie Dad or a Hoochie Daddy.
How's that? If only if you get the shorts. I don't need to know all that if you're not getting shorts. But no, you should. And you know what we do? I love to post it. I love it when we get all sorts of the pictures of the merch, and we like to post it on our socials, and we love our listeners.
Absolutely, yes. And we got to shout out one more amazing sponsor. We have to shout out ENT Transportation. They are our season-long sponsor, and they are amazing. And so going somewhere, we got you. ENT Transportation is a low-cost transportation service that offers services to the grocery store, doctor's appointments, work, school, and even airport runs. Services must be scheduled 24 hours in advance. For more information, call them at 419-820-0549 or 419-578-8040, and that is ENT Transportation.
Yes.
So get in with them, and you're going to need them because summertime is coming up. And so when you got your Hoochie Daddies on, and you trying to be a Hoochie Daddy,
one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two, and you trying to be the Hoochie Daddy, and you going out, you need to call ENT Transportation, because guess what? You can be a responsible Hoochie Daddy.
Or a Hoochie Dad.
Or a Hoochie Dad, whichever you prefer.
Yes.
Whichever one you choose, just make sure you're responsible. Don't drink and drive.
No, and honestly, with the gas prices, you don't have to pay for it. You just pay them, and you don't have to use your own gas, your own car.
Yep.
When you're going to all these events, you don't have to worry about parking.
Mm-hmm.
Just call them; they'll drop you off, arrange the pickup. You'll be good.
Yep. And if you call them, the Hoochie Daddies, they can take you to your Hoochie Mama's house.
Yeah. Is there confidentiality with this ENT trans? I bet they do. I bet they have it. They're not going to tell anybody.
They probably do. Yeah. But if you go into your Hoochie Mama house, they drop you off, and you call them in the morning, and they'll pick you up.
Yeah.
They take you back.
Perfect.
So you are a safe, responsible hoochie daddy or hoochie dad.
Yeah.
So I love that.
There's a lot of hoochie talk for a teacher's lounge.
So, but anyways, let's get into our teacher's lounge discussions. As we told you guys, it is Educators Week. And so we are discussing all things educators. And so Miss Amy and I decided we were going to interview each other, and we came up with some questions because our jobs, like she said, are two completely different roles. And so we just thought that it would be really dope to interview each other. Like we said, if you guys have any questions or comments, you want to ask us, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. And we'll try to answer them sometime in the show. So you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
Well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's start with our background. So I'm going to ask you, and then I'll answer the same.
Okay.
How long have you been an educator? What's your current assignment as far as like grade and subjects that you teach or that you work with?
So I have been an educator for 13 years. The grade that I teach currently is 4th through 6th grade. I teach English. Before that, I taught 8th grade for 11 years, and I taught English. And then I was like, yeah, it's time to bring it on down. So I went to the 4th and 6th grade babies, and as the people like to say these days, I love it here.
Bless your soul.
It's been good. So what about you?
So this is actually my 24th year in education.
Okay.
I know I don't look old enough to have been doing that. It's fine. No, I actually started my educational path when I was 18 as a pre-K teacher.
Okay.
So I started with 4-year-olds, and then I worked my way up. While I was working my way through college with my teaching degree, I was an administrator at an after-school program. So kindergarten through 5th grade, and then the summer we added up to 8th grade. And then I was a high school teacher for 9 years. And I decided at that point I wanted to become a school counselor. I actually double majored in school counselor and clinical and mental health counseling.
Okay.
But I liked the school counseling role just because it got me in the schools, and I had good access to every. So I currently work with a middle school. So I 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Right now I'm currently working with 8th grade only.
Okay.
We actually keep the same kids for 3 years. So I am their only consistent adult in the building that they have for the 3 years in middle school. So
and I think that's so important, especially like as a counselor or honestly just as an educator in general. So like with my babies, because I teach 4th, 5th, and 6th, I keep them for 3 years too. So I think just even as an educator and then, even as a counselor, that relationship is so important because some kids don't transition well,
right? Like
to a new teacher or a new counselor, whatever. So if you've built this bond with this teacher for the whole year and then the next year you don't have them anymore, some kids, they get triggered by stuff like that.
Well, and I think with counseling specifically, because we are dealing with a lot of mental health and a lot of personal traumas and life situations. And, now that I've opened up to one person, it's really hard for me to now have to go and recall all of that to another person. So I know with my babies now, I got a couple more weeks and I'm sending them to high school. And it's always hard. This is the time of the year that I'm like, I taught my very last lesson today and I was like, babies. But you know what? It's cool. I get to come back around and
I want to ask you, do you start back over from 6th grade anywhere back up?
Oh, okay. So really it's graduating classes. So like you follow the graduating class for 3 years and go back around.
That's really dope.
Yeah.
All right. What inspired you to become a school counselor?
So like I said, I taught high school for 9 years. And when I taught high school, I taught life. And so a lot of what I was teaching was teen issues. And I was teaching like how to go out and get jobs and how to be successful when you get out of high school as far as like your life and living and life skills classes. And I love that. I love teaching those things. I could still teach those to this day. But what I didn't love was I would be presenting the information. Whenever you talk about things, obviously you're opening up the door for people like, oh, she's teaching us about this. I want to talk more about it, or this is happening in my life. And I was finding that a lot of times the kids were like, I was teaching these, and at the very end of the class, they would be like, oh, hey, can you talk to me for just a second? Because I'm having this going on. And I would have to just shove them off to the school counselor. And it was bothering me because I'm like, I want to help you fix it. I want to be the one to help walk you through it. So not only do I want to educate you, I also want to help you through it. And so that's why I chose school counseling. I also liked that it wasn't dictated by like a bell schedule. It's more of I like to do, and when I say 175,000 different things a day, that's what I do. But every day is a new day. You can never plan for it. You can never predict.
Listen, education, this thing changes every single day.
Yes. And it's even more unpredictable as a school counselor because you don't have that bell schedule. So it's like I can walk in with a plan one day and I'm like, well, that's not happening today. So that was my day today. I walked in with a plan and I've kind of learned to not do that. Just let it roll.
Just ride the wave.
So I actually had the same question. What inspired you to become a teacher?
It's crazy. So my grandfather, so I was raised by my grandparents. I mean, my mom was around My dad was in and out of jail, but my mom, because she was a single mother, I had to go stay with my grandparents. And the school I was at was actually like 2 blocks away from my house. So she was like, you know, I stayed with my grandparents from kindergarten through 6th grade. And my mom was like working and stuff. But my grandfather was really big on education. Mm-hmm. When I was 2 years old, he made me learn all 50 states.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Like
you told us that story.
Yes. Yep. I told you the story. So he went, he bought this puzzle. It was all 50 states. And as I was doing it, he would make me like say the city, and then he would make me say like the capital, like the state and the capital. By the time I was probably like 3 or 4, like I knew all 50 states and the capitals. And like when people would come over, he would like do that little thing. And I'm like, you want me to recite all 50 states in front of your company? All right, cool. And so like as I got into, you know, school and stuff, like my granddad, like when I would come home, even after I was done with homework, he would make me study more, like 30 minutes before you go outside and play. And so education was just really big, just to, you know, do better in school, to get on honor roll, to get principals list, all these accolades, like it was really big. And so once I realized, like, man, like this school thing is kind of cool, like, but then also at the same time, like, not even just that, I had amazing teachers who built amazing relationships with us. And so as I got older, I was like, I think I want to be a teacher. Yeah. And so when I graduated college in 2011, well, before that, I actually worked in daycare. I worked in daycare for 4 years. Worked in daycare for 4 years. I was that one, like, while all the other counselors and daycare teachers was like painting and having fun and doing boondoggle strings and stuff, I was making my kids like do like multiplication facts and stuff.
Well, they loved you.
like I was that one, like, before we go to
we're gonna have a spelling bee.
We are. Today's plan is we're having a spelling bee. But Mr. Ty, we already just went to school. Well, this is school after school.
Yes.
And so when I realized that, I was like, I need to just go into education. So I started in 2012. I started off just as a para. And then it just transitioned into being in the classroom full time. And I love English. I've always loved English. And so like once I saw like just the relationship building just meant so much to me. Yeah. And like when you have a kid who is just, they will tear down your classroom, that kid will move a mountain for you.
Yes.
And so like once I started building those relationships and I realized like those positive relationships were helping my kids thrive. Yeah. I was like, man, this education thing, I love it here. And I think so many teachers sometimes think that like you should just do what I tell you to do because I told you to, because I'm an adult. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. Yes, as a teacher, I'm supposed to get up here and teach this information. Yeah. But if you haven't built that relationship with that kid, I could care less about what you're talking about. But when you have that relationship with your class, and you also, I love applying like what we do to real life stuff. Yes. Like once they make that connection, it's a totally different ballgame. And so ever since then, I just love, like I said, just building a relationship with kids, but also just seeing them academically thrive because the demographic that I work with, like some of our kids are low, you know, in reading and things like that. And so when you just put 2 and 2 together, it's like a perfect sandwich. It's like a BLT.
A perfect BLT. Why has it got to be a BLT?
I don't know. It just sounded
peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly, sure. But yeah, that's why I went to education. Okay. Just like I said, my grandfather having amazing teachers and just those relationships, you know, and building those with them was amazing. So yeah. All right. My question for you is, how did your own school experiences shape your approach to counseling?
So like when I was in school?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting because the professional school counseling has changed dramatically since I was in school. Okay. Like back when we were in school, and I'm maybe more me than you, but I think you too. It was the guidance counselor, right? Yeah. And it was always like the washed up teacher that didn't want to do anything and wanted to just sit there. And that's not how school counseling is at all. Yeah. School was hard for me. Like school was very hard for me. I was never like my sister was the straight A kid, never really had to study much. I squeaked by with some D's and some C's, and you know, like I was great at English always, but math was always hard. Science was hard. Sitting still was hard. And so school was just difficult for me. And not only that, being a teenager and going through the years and making the choices I made and struggling with some things, I just never really felt like I had somebody there because that really wasn't the role of the school counselor. Like the role of the school counselor was like, maybe you're having a hard time with your your grades, and maybe we need to help you pick a schedule. But it wasn't like I felt like I go in there and vent about the things that are happening. And so I think for me, I had a very impactful teacher, and I've mentioned her on the show in previous years. She actually is who inspired me to go into teaching, and and teaching life, because she taught life. And so having that adult in my life at the crucial time that I needed her in middle school and high school was kind of what I needed. And so for me, school counseling provided me the ability to be who I needed when I was younger. And I really needed that person. And so that was part of the counseling part of it. But over the years, like in the early 2000s, the whole role of school counseling changed. So instead of guidance counseling, it became school counseling. And it became, you didn't have to be a teacher. In fact, you can go to college, you can get a degree in whatever, and you can go become a school counselor with a master's degree. But school counselors do have master's degrees, full internships. It's essentially, it's a mental health license, and that's different. It never used to be that. And so the whole concept of school counseling changed, and it became a more preventative approach rather than a reactive approach. And I like the prevention piece because I taught, I got to prevent. But the cool part about it is not only do I get to do prevention, I also get to do intervention. And I get to be that adult that those to a more in-depth level. As a teacher, I loved it. I love building class community, like you said. I love building relationships. I don't have behavior issues. I never have had behavior issues. I always had kids say, "You're the nicest, strictest teacher I've ever met in my life." Because I don't play. You're not going to talk when I'm talking, but not because I want to be strict, because I want to create a culture of respect for everybody. My very first day, I said, I don't care if you like each other or not. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what your house looks like. I don't care what your background is. In this classroom, we're cool. You walk out there and do what you're going to do. I hope you don't. But if you do, but in here, we respect everybody. And that includes, while I'm talking, you're not. While they're, so I just like to create that community. But as a school counselor, I get to do it in a different way and at a deeper level. And that's a really cool part of it, because I get to spend time. So instead of having to tell that kid that said, "Hey, I'm struggling with this." Okay, cool. I'm so sorry that happened. Let me take you to the counselor. I get to be the person that I sit down, and if I got to spend an hour and a half with the student because they're struggling at home or because something happened, I get to sit there and spend an hour and a half.
Absolutely.
And we get to talk through it and develop it and come up with solutions and, provide resources for the family. And it just allows me to be able to reach more kids, I think, than I did. And not that I did as a teacher, because I actually taught.
But you're not stuck in the box.
But I'm not stuck in the box. Like I can work with a lot of different things.
And I think too, what's really so dope about the role of a school counselor changing from what it used to be is that it allows our kids to get therapy who may not even have access to therapy. So you are able to basically, if you need to, go to therapy 5 days a week. If you need to.
Although we don't do therapy. Don't get me lose my license. We don't do long-term therapy, but you get mental health care.
Mental health care.
And we do get mental health care. We do crisis prevention. I mean, I'm trained to do any type of like suicide assessments. And, the whole role is to provide that immediate crisis. But do we do interventions? For sure. Do we sit there and talk through kids? And do I have kids that come down multiple times a week? Absolutely. And it's a service that's available in schools, most schools, in some capacity or other. I know. And that's one thing that I think people get really confused about, is like, well, what's a school counselor versus I hear all these behavior specialists. And so there is a lot of differences, and that could be a time. Maybe that'll be a mental health matters a different time. But I think it's important to know that when you have a school counselor, that's a service provided by a school, specifically public schools. I don't know a lot of the private and charter schools always. I know some of the private schools have school counselors, but my services are accessible to everybody. I'm there to if you walk into the building as a student, you have access to the services that I provide. And that's the biggest difference, because some of the other providers, that's not always the case. But that's the benefit of having a school counselor is, doesn't matter. You could be an honor student that's a straight A student that's struggling today because you're anxious about taking a test. Or you could be a student that comes to my office 5 days a week and I see you for 30 minutes a day because you're just having a hard time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So your turn. How did your expectations of teaching compare to the reality of teaching when you started? So when you're like, these are my expectations of a teacher, versus when you started teaching and then the reality was there.
You know what? When I first started teaching, here's the thing that I've always said. Number one, I love the fact that I started when I was young, because one thing that I did not like when I was remember as a kid, all my teachers were old.
They were.
Yeah, like they were old. They were cranky and crabby. Some of them were nice, but a lot of them was just like...
You had like the couple of grandparent figures, and then the rest of them are cranky.
Yes, pretty much. But like a lot of them were old, and I was just like, man, like I'm so thankful that like I was young when I got into it. But when I first started teaching, like my expectation, I think being young, like I didn't expect my kids to try it. as far as like behavior wise,
Yeah.
because they can smell it. They can. It's like blood in the water with a shark. Like they can smell fresh meat. Like you look like a fresh new teacher. They know it. Yeah,
they do. And it really is the younger teachers. It's not the older teachers. It's the younger ones or the subs.
Yeah, they try to substitute.
Bless the subs. Yeah. If you're a substitute teacher, bless your soul, because that is a tough position.
I couldn't do it.
I've done it, but I did it in a different capacity because I was a teacher. Yeah. But it's tough if you're just like not just, but if you're just that's your role in the building and you're going from class to class to class.
Yes. Ooh. You don't have time to build a relationship. You're literally just there just to be behavior
and you're functioning under other people's behavior management.
Yes.
And that's the hardest part. Is like when you're walking into it. So I can know, even in my role when I'm going from class to class and I'm teaching lessons, I can tell who's got certain behavior management and who's struggling a little bit. I can tell the young teachers, like you said, because there's just a very different vibe.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. But yeah, like when I first got into it, I always thought like it was going to be like those movies like Dangerous Minds.
Oh, that was my movie.
Like Freedom Riders. And I was like, yeah, give me the roughest of the toughest.
Yes.
And by the end of this month, we're going to be the Freedom Riders.
You're going to the amusement park with the kids.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And that did not happen. None of that happened. So yeah, like that was kind of like my expectation. Like I knew it was going to be rough.
Yeah.
But like I didn't expect what I was expecting as far as like I didn't expect for it to be that rough, like the stuff that like my kids was going through. And so I would definitely say like my first, it probably took me honestly, it probably was like my third year of teaching where I finally got like my foot.
You got hit on those Freedom Riders.
Yep. I was like, oh, y'all trying it today. And then like once like I felt like I was like a vet in the game in 3 years. I felt my confidence go up. Like the way that I was teaching was different. And I remember my kids, I'll never forget this 8th grade class that I had. So the school that I was at when I first started, we used to do looping, or we had the option to loop. So I looped.
Yeah.
And so by the time they got to 8th grade, they was like, man, Mr. Cleveland, like you teach different. I was like, what you mean? It's like you just seem like real chill. Like last year and like before that, like you was just so uptight. And I was like, man, like I was uptight.
Yeah.
Because I think it was like the anxiety. But I also think it was just like wanting to be. I think the problem is sometimes that some teachers like they're too strict. Yeah. And that's when your kids rebel. But when you have like that balance of like you said, like nice strict, like I'm gonna be cool with you, but also no, I don't play no games with you.
Right.
And so like once I got to about that 3rd year, they was like, okay, we like him. Like he's cool. And so like I just kept that same energy. And so that has been working for me, and it has helped me be successful in this journey. And now I think I might be a little too nice strict. Because now my kids are like at my school, they're calling me uncle and unk.
That's a compliment though.
Yeah, but they're like, Mr. Cleveland, like, you be acting like my uncle. And I was like, well, I am somebody's uncle, just not yours. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah, I think like my expectation in the beginning, it definitely wasn't like that, because I thought I was gonna change the world.
We all did.
Month. And I was like, dang, like it takes
why did Michelle do this in like an hour's time?
Yes,
this is not taking me an hour to change the world.
Done in 2 hours.
Right?
This is taking me.
She was at houses. She was at amusement parks. She was reading poetry.
Look, and I promise you, I thought I was going to do all that.
I think we all did.
I knew I was going to be like Coach Carter. I knew I was going to be like Freedom Riders. Like we were going to like have this big community bash, and we're going to raise money so they can go to like the Holocaust Museum. Yep. And that didn't happen.
No. But you know what, though? I think that is the energy of a new teacher, because that Dangerous Minds, like, it definitely was my teacher in school that got me into it. But I'm going to tell you what, I watched Dangerous Minds on repeat. Yeah. Once I realized I wanted to be a teacher, and I was like, I'm going to be Michelle. And I feel like over the years, I've had Michelle moments. And I think that's what I love about that. And that's honestly even more so as a counselor. I get to have more of those. Michelle, we mean Dangerous Minds. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer was the teacher in that. And I've had those real life Dangerous Minds times. Yeah. And I think, are you cheating and looking at my questions?
No, I'm not.
He was like, no, I'm going to peek and see what my next
looking at our levels.
Oh, yeah.
On the
but no, I do think that you get to have that. But when you come in as a new teacher, man, you are just like, I'm going to change the world. And I love that about new teachers. I feel you on the disconnect of like when you're a new teacher, you come in. I mean, for me, it was different because I had worked as a pre-K teacher with, that was a mess.
Yeah.
Don't ever, I mean, I love kids, but that 4-year-old, no.
I tell people all the time, I don't do anything lower than 4th grade.
No.
I cannot.
No.
Like pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd, 3rd is like,
No.
But pre-K, kindergarten, no, because I'm like, why are you crying? Okay, you know what? When you decide that you're done crying, you let me know.
Right. I mean, it was good for me in college, but then I came into, and I became an administrator in an after-school program. So I was like the principal at 19.
Yeah.
And that taught me a lot about like setting boundaries and being strict. And so when I came in, I remember I did my student teaching. She's like, you like actually know how to like have management. And so the classroom management was never really my issue because I was used to that.
Yeah.
But I think it is just learning the vibe of the school that you're at and learning what you can and can't do. At least that was my experience.
Yeah.
And for me, it's different. You know, I work with, like I said, the grades for 3 years, and I teach classes. I'm in classrooms at least every kid that I have sees me teach a lesson at least once a month, or every other week, depending on how long the lesson is. So they're either going to get 2 half-hour lessons or 1 hour lesson once a month. And so, but I get them from 6th grade on. I always laugh because the youngest I ever worked with till I had this job was 8th grade. And so coming in, I mean, number one, 6 and 7, they don't understand sarcasm.
Yeah,
I'm a sarcastic person. And so, you know, I would say something, I'm like, that's a joke. And they're like, oh my God, I can't. So, and sarcasm and humor is kind of how I run my class. So I had to like figure that out. But I definitely can say in 6th grade, I do not let much slide because I am coming into different classrooms. I mean, I'm in 15 different classrooms once a month, and that's 15 different styles.
Yes.
So 6th grade, I'm like super like 7th grade. That's when the hormones go.
Yeah.
By the time we're in a good stride now.
Chilling.
Like they know me, they know how I roll. They know, you know, I taught my last lesson today, and somebody started talking. I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't have the respect of the room. They're like, I know. Like looking at the, are you done yet? And then they're like, sorry. Yeah. So like it's just that kind of building up to that. But
I think for me it was just more so when you are a new teacher, you either can be too dang nice or you can be too dang mean.
And it's too dang mean though.
It's always too nice.
Too nice.
It's way too nice.
Because we've come in and we're trying to be friends.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They can smell that fresh meat and they chew you up. So it's that. But then the other thing too, man, I be thinking about this sometime. Like, Ty, you are a brand new teacher and you chose to teach middle school for your first few years. Yeah. Like you didn't even try to ease into this thing. No. And like literally every year.
You dove head first.
I did. Mm-hmm. Every year I will always say, give me middle school, give me middle school, give me middle school.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it didn't hit me till one day. I was just like, man, like you really just dove in head first. It was like, give me the 8th graders. Like, why? Who does that as a first year teacher? Yeah, it was me.
I had
watched Dangerous Minds, so I was inspired.
I mean that was me. My first 4 years, I had 8th grade through seniors. Yeah, and it was a very different. I mean, it was very different 8th grade to seniors. I mean, it was. Yeah. You want to change the world? All right, go ahead.
What's one moment in your career that really affirmed that you were on the right path?
Ooh, one moment in my career that affirmed that I was on the right path. You know, I don't know that I can say one. I think there's just moments all the time. Mm-hmm. But I think early on, I think honestly it was my student teaching. I think I had I had a phenomenal student teaching advisor. And when I walked in, I was teaching high school, and mind you, I'm like literally the same age as some of these kids. Yeah. I was 20. I'm young too for like my grade, and I was like 28, 19 doing methods and 20 doing student teaching. And I'm walking in, I'm honestly very close to the age of some of these students. I remember there was multiple times I would walk in wearing the same outfit as my high school kids. I'm like, oh, it was cool back then. They liked that. Now it would embarrass them. But like back then I was still cool. I was still like a sister. Yeah. I went from like being mistaken as sister to mom to like grandma to aunt to grandma. That's where I'm at now.
Amy.
Yeah. But yes, I do that a lot. But I do get a few. I had a kid call me grandma the other day. I was like, I'm sorry. What? No, not quite there yet. But
hopefully no time soon.
Right. So I think that was I had a really successful experience. It was at one of our larger high schools in the area. She was phenomenal. And I think what solidified it, I was actually teaching a class called Introduction to Education. Okay. So I was student teaching teachers, like future teachers on how to be teachers. And I just remember she was out a lot during my student teaching, but she was like, you're ready. Take it. Like when she was out, they would hire us up. They'd be in the back of the room, and I would just do my thing.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I really looked around. I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. Like I got this classroom. I got lesson plans. I got the classroom management down. The kids are enjoying this. They like me. So that was like the first one. I think the next one was really just like when I got into my classroom. I think when I started to see the change of some of the things. So like one of the things I taught was sex ed.
Okay.
And we had a very high teen pregnancy rate at the school that I went to. And I remember my interview, they're like, I don't care what you're teaching, teach sex ed. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird because it's not all sex ed, but all right. And just simply teaching information and facts to this group and being open and just saying like, hey, like like we need to be safe and we need to be protected and it's okay to be abstinent and just like having a whole program and talking about, how to be safe and the consequences. And then as I'm there, I could see the teen pregnancy rates dropping. And that was the first time I got to see what I was teaching was really impacting the community around me.
Okay.
Moving on to counseling, I think just the second I stepped in the door, I think I was ready. Every time I the first time I got to help a kid and they really were like, man, I don't know if I was going to get through today.
Yeah.
The first time that I sat with a parent and let them cry with me because there was stuff going on, or the first time I got to bless a family with resources that didn't have them, like all of those times I was like, this is where I need to be. And it wasn't anything that I was necessarily doing. It was how I was feeling when I was going home every day.
Gotcha.
Like I was feeling like I always tell people this, I like teaching.
Yeah.
I love teaching, but I like teaching, but I love counseling.
Yeah.
Like that is where I need to be. And if I always say, if you can do something, like I would do my job and not get a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I knew.
Well, that's kind of how I feel.
Don't get me wrong. I need the paycheck.
But sometimes that's how I be feeling.
Yeah.
Like, did I get paid today? That's how I be feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Because I feel like that's when you're doing your passion.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah. Okay. That's what's up.
So what is a typical day? Like describe your typical day as a teacher.
Let's see. So my day starts at 7:45. Well, it should start at 7:45. Do I get there at 7:45? It's none of your business.
He does, unless T. Cole from the Drunk Ucks podcast is driving in front of him.
That part. But no. So my day starts at 7:45. We don't start school until about 8:20 because our kids have breakfast. Usually, I am like getting like the work ready for the day. I always in the morning I play lo-fi beats for my kids because I truly believe how you start your day is how you end your day.
Correct.
And so when my kids come in, my kids say all the time, they like, Mr. Cleveland, your room makes me sleepy. I'm like, why? Because it's calming. Like there's no stimulation around here.
Yeah. But
I play lo-fi beats for them. I go and pick my kids up from breakfast. I teach 3 classes. So I teach 4th, 5th, and 6th. So when we switch classes.
Yeah.
So I teach 4 English classes. And then I have lunch and a planning period, is what we call it, where I plan more stuff usually for the next day. After that, my kids go to specials. I come back. I actually get my class back again for the afternoon. And let me tell y'all something. Teaching the class after lunch, whew, it make you want to go into the parking lot and smoke a cigarette.
He doesn't do that.
I don't do that. No, cigarettes are disgusting. But no judgment to those who do it. But but
you need a nicotine or some sort of fix.
Something.
We don't do it.
Yeah, we don't do it. But that's how I be feeling. But yeah, I get them after lunch. So I have them for another English class. I have them from I have them for an hour. And then they go to their specials class, so like art or gym or whatever. And our day is done. But it sounds like it's a pretty easy day. Well, let me tell you something. In the midst of all of that, I am dealing with, have a seat. Why are you up? Why are you moving? Stop talking. Where's your writing utensil? How did you forget your pencil in the other class? Can I go get it? No. Mr. Cleveland, I gotta go to the bathroom. You just went to the bathroom. Mr. Cleveland, my stomach hurt. Did you eat breakfast? No. Here's a granola bar. I don't want that. Well, then your stomach's gonna hurt.
Right.
I need a Band-Aid for what? Because I got this paper cut from 6 weeks ago and it still hurts.
Yeah.
Can I get an ice pack? Why? Because I bumped my baby toe on the wall
5 days ago.
5 days ago. Yep. I need an ice pack. Can I call my mom? Why?
I forgot my key.
I forgot my key. Mm-hmm. I need my clothes for cheer practice. You have cheer today? No, but I have it tomorrow. Like that is. And that's just like in one class. Mind y'all, I teach 3 classes.
And that's in between trying to get the content out and have them learn something.
Yes, trying to actually teach what I'm supposed to be teaching.
Correct.
So yeah, but at the end of the day though, like I absolutely love what I do. The most important thing, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I love where I work because representation is so important to me. I love being not just a Black educator, but being a Black male educator because it's so important. Because for some of my kids, I am the only type of male figure that they see in their life, specifically Black male figure. And so most of our school is like 99% Black. We got one white boy, and that's because his dad and mom works there. so we, you know, like I just love
that's still important that he sees a Black male educator
absolutely.
too.
And it's very important that he sees that too. And I love the fact. Shout out to his parents because I love the fact that them, you know, being white, they have allowed their child to be immersed,
like that.
being hard W being white. I love the fact like they immerse him in Black culture, and you know that helps him to be non-biased. It helps him to not be racist, and it helps him to learn just the importance of like Black people matter. You know what I'm saying? And learning Black culture. And so it's so cool. And you know what I love too? I love the fact that like, and it's not even because like his parents work there. I love the fact because they love him just like he's like everybody else. Like they don't see him as like someone who's not of color. Like I have never heard not one racist joke, comment. They never said you're a white boy. They don't even, they literally, they call him by his name. And I love that. So, but yeah, like that's pretty much like what my typical day is. And then we go home. And then I go home and then I decompress. And then you think you're decompressing, but honestly, as a teacher and educator, I think we are always thinking about
your
like
brain
the next
is always
day.
Going.
Like the next day, I'm like, man.
Or like a good or a good idea.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I should try this. Or you're reflecting over like what didn't work the day before.
So yeah, that's usually what my day is like. So yeah, and I'm counting down the days, y'all. 7 school days left. So I'm sorry.
I'm going to answer that question too.
Well, you were looking at me like with the death stare when I said 7 days.
No, I was actually no. Well, that too because I don't have 7 days.
You was looking like.
But no, I was thinking I was gonna. I'm gonna answer this question too because I don't think people.
Well, was my next
well, that's why I was gonna answer it. I know I cheated. No, I think for people to understand kind of what a school counselor does because I get that question a lot. What do you do all day? And it really just depends. I mean, I know I walk in the building, I start my day, you know, I'm greeting kids, and inevitably somebody needs something in the morning. So, you know, I know some mornings, hey, can I get a comb? Can I get some deodorant? Can I use your bathroom real quick? I got to fix my hair. Can you help me fix my hair? There's that kind of thing, resources. Or they came in just a little too late and breakfast was over, but they, you know, had to walk there. So can I get some breakfast? So it's giving them kind of the resources they need. Or it's a day that starts off because somebody's, you know, crying their eyes out. And, you know, I just got in a fight with my parents in the car and I can't go to class right now because look at me and can we talk about it? It could be that there was, you know, I've come in and there's been an email from, you know, a concerned student that somebody was, you know, their mental health was not okay, or they were talking about suicide. So I'm going to, you know, immediately pull that student, do a suicide assessment. So just kind of putting out the morning fires, kind of handling things. You know, then like today I ran a small group. And so today we were talking about self-care and we did some yoga and some deep breathing and some stretching. And, you know, it was with a group of at-risk students that are struggling academically, but we wanted to make sure that we're taking care of our bodies and our emotions and things like that. So, you know, I ran a 45-minute small group. So we talked a lot about that and then came back and from the small group came, you know, another incident. So then I did some peer mediation. So there's some peer mediation happening. And if I'm not doing that, I'm keeping track of data because there's a lot of data that we need to have. Planning lessons. So like I was teaching a lesson about building a support system because all of my students are about to lose part of their support system because they're moving to a different place. So how do we build that support system? And, you know, and I answered a few parent phone calls and, you know, hey, office, there's some discipline stuff. Can you come sit in here and, you know, be there with the student and help us talk about some making good choices? So that's just one day. And sometimes my day goes now. It is May in a middle school, and when the sun is out, there tends to be a little bit more. So you know that processing through if a kid comes back from a consequence, a suspension. You know, so we try to do some restorative things where let's talk about what happened. You know, because I don't get kids in trouble, and that I think is a really big misconception. I need to say out loud: school counselors do not get kids in trouble. And I don't know what it is media portrays that they do. That is not my role. Like, and I'm not saying that's for every district. I do know that there are some districts that tend to put their school counselors in an administrative role, but ethically through school counseling, we should never be in that role to assign consequences.
Yeah.
Which makes my job really unique because like the adult in me wants to, but I talk to kids. I will say something if it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let kids just fight in front of me. Like obviously that's a safety issue.
Yeah.
But it's a specific reason because I need to be a safe place that they can come and talk to, but we're still going to talk about the behavior.
Absolutely.
And the goal is let's make a plan. So like if we got in trouble for fighting, we need to talk about what happened. Why did it happen? What's going to happen next time to make that not happen again?
Yeah.
And so I like that part of my job. I think that's an important part, doing attendance mediations. Like, why aren't you coming to school? What do you need? How can we get you to come to school? Giving some incentive plans. So do a lot of those, going to parent meetings, IEP meetings, 504 meetings. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just literally, what did one of my colleagues said that we're literally the mail catcher of the school. So literally, if somebody doesn't know what to do, they're just like, hey, ask the counselor.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's our role, sometimes it's not. And so we give them the resource to go to the right person. Doing staff support. I mean, there are oftentimes that staff are like, I need to talk.
Yeah.
Can I sit down and talk to you? So we may sit and talk to a staff that's going through something, or maybe they've had a loss, or maybe they're like, they had a classroom that you're like, I need. So instead of going out to the parking lot to have the cigarette, we're going to go talk to the school counselor who's going to just talk you through it and let you vent.
And then have the cigarette off campus.
Yeah, or you just don't smoke cigarettes because you'll get lung cancer. But so
and don't smoke a breeze either. They're expensive.
They're expensive. But so my typical day is hard to describe, and it's hard to say everything that I do, but it's just basically there. I always tell my job is to help students get from here to high school successfully.
Yes.
But my ultimate goal is that they can get through high school and graduate and go into the world and be successful adults.
With using those
all of the things, all the skills, all the lessons. Another thing that I get to teach a lot of, we do a lot of future planning, do a lot of career research and goal setting, and what are your passions and how's that going to take you into high school and then beyond high school. So that's a really fun part of what I get to do as well. Talking about emotions, how to recognize emotions, express emotions, do a lot of calming. Sometimes my job's cool. Sometimes I get to sit and color because we just need to take a moment. And if I have a student that just needs to decompress and color, okay, can I color with you? Or if not, sometimes they don't want me to, you know? So my job is just a very unique variety. There's a lot of different things on a daily basis, but, every day's a new day. Never know.
Yeah. Now, I heard you talk about self-care because you talked about how you taught your kids self-care. How important to you as an educator is it to practice self-care? And then how do you practice self-care?
So I had to learn. So I will say this, as a teacher, I did not do that well at all. Self-care was at the back burner as a teacher. But I think it's because I was teaching long enough where I just kind of got in my wheelhouse. And it wasn't really to the extent as a counselor as it is. I didn't realize coming into my years as a counseling how emotionally taxing it was going to be. I mean, it's a lot to take just doing one suicide assessment and having to call one parent who didn't have any idea and listen to them cry on the phone and the kids crying and then turning around from that to trying to get people not to fight. Like, it's just a lot. Like, you're taking in a lot. So my first couple of years of counseling, I didn't do great at it. And it was starting to impact me in my personal life. Snapping at my kids. I was, spending a lot of time, at my job and staying late hours because if there was a crisis, I'm not just going to leave in the middle of a crisis. And so I wasn't taking good care. And I started to realize that when I start to come home and snap at people and lock myself in my bedroom and not in like the good way, but like the don't talk to me. I don't care I don't care, children, if you haven't eaten dinner. And I'm not saying I don't have those days sometimes, and that's why it's important to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. For me, the biggest self-care is finding people that I can vent to. I have great colleagues. And so the nice thing about counseling is that, everybody has confidentiality and it's called supervision. So I can go to other counselors and, hey, I need some advice, need some help and talking through some things. And they get it because they've been there and done that. So having those professionals, honestly, I intentionally spend a portion of my paycheck on a massage membership.
Okay.
One of my love languages is physical touch. And so for me, I do it about once a month. It's a once a month membership, and it's costly, but it's worth it because it just gives me an entire. I do the hour and a half where nobody's speaking to me. I'm telling you, if that massage person talks to me, I will never go to you again. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody's bothering me. I'm being taken care of, and that does definitely fill my bucket. This is part of my self-care.
Absolutely.
Doing the podcast, and I didn't realize I needed that until I started doing Mud Talk, and I'm like, this allows me I don't have to make decisions about anything. I don't have to do anything people aren't requiring, any type of mental health type stress on me.
Yeah.
I can just come and be who I am outside of that. So this really does help. I think honestly, the biggest self-care that I've done for myself is learning boundaries.
Yeah.
And how to say no.
Yes.
And when you are the mail catcher of the school, as mad as it might make some people, sometimes I just have to simply say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And the other, there's two things one thing COVID taught me. I take a lunch break. I never used to. I never used to as a teacher either. Like lunch would go and I'd work through lunch. And I have since COVID, and part of it was easy because we didn't have kids for a while.
Yeah.
I started taking a lunch break and I'm like, I need this. And my lunch break is almost rarely is it on campus. I will walk off. Even if it is on campus, I go outside. It's nice out. I will get in my car. I will drive to a park. I will drive around just literally to be out of the building. I will get fresh. I don't care if it's 20 degrees out. Breathe in some fresh air so that I can come right back in the building. I get a half hour. I come right back in the building when it's done. And I try my best, if there's not a crisis, because I'm not going to leave anybody hanging, to leave at my time that I'm allowed to leave. Because for a long time, I wasn't. As a teacher and a counselor, I was staying till 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, planning and worrying and organizing. And I wasn't taking a lunch, and that was a lot. So those are how I take care of myself.
That's what's up. Yeah. For myself as an educator, like very similar to you, like I had to learn self-care myself because you think in your mind you can save the world in 24 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Like Michelle.
Yeah, like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Like she had to do some self-care if she was doing all that.
She absolutely did. Especially if you're trying to change the world in 2 hours in the movie. So she
she did it. She was listening to poetry.
Well, she also was smoking cigarettes in that movie too.
Oh, that's right.
So
is that right? What's that? What made you think about it? That was an older movie. It was in the 90s, back when you could smoke cigarettes on TV.
Yeah. But I had to practice self-care because I was just, my brain wouldn't turn off. I would be in bed thinking about like this lesson or what I should have did differently or what could I do differently. I was, staying late after school and trying to get these bulletin boards done because as much as important bulletin boards may be, this is what I need to tell these administrators. Okay, let's just have a conversation, administrators. I know bulletin boards are important, but I promise you, these kids do not give a damn about them bulletin boards.
No.
So I know, I remember I had this one administrator when I worked at a school, and they just thought well, if you put up this might change I don't care if I change the paper from black to yellow, that's not going to change.
And they're going to pick off half the stuff.
They're going to rip it off anyway.
They're going to sit there and they're just going to pick and pick and pick until it's curling.
Yes. Now, what I won't do, I'm not going to have Halloween stuff still up, and it's clearly December and it's Christmas. Right. You know what I'm saying? But just the little stuff, I would try to stay after school because in my mind I thought it would make a big difference, and it really didn't. But then, like you said, having to go home and taking that home, and you're just feeling mentally drained. And so therefore I had to really practice self-care. And honestly, it wasn't until about 2017, I had a medical scare. Blood pressure was crazy high. I woke up one morning and my hands and my feet were tingling, my face was tingling. And I went to the hospital and they were like, sir, your numbers are so high, you probably were about to have a stroke. And I was just like, what? And I think at that time I may have been 27, 28.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, we got to try something different. On top of not just being an educator, but I have an after school program, a nonprofit. So dealing with those kids. So I'm taking my kids, I'm taking these kids, and I'm just got all their stuff from my brain. Yeah. And on top of still trying to be a father, on top of still trying to be a son, on top of still trying to be a brother, just so many different roles. And so I had to learn a couple of things. The first thing I did was I took emails off my phone. I didn't want any emails coming to my phone. Yeah. I did not respond to any emails after 4 o'clock. And anytime that any of my bosses or colleagues or whoever called, I was not answering. Yeah. Because I knew that you were going to call me about work or you wanted to talk about work. Absolutely not. And so once I started putting those boundaries in place for other people, I had to start putting boundaries in place for myself. Because I can't be setting boundaries for other people, but then I don't have boundaries for myself. So I had to learn, going to therapy and meditating and going to the gym and all these different things that truly helped me. Weekends, I don't want to talk about work. I didn't discuss work. I didn't care anything about it. So honestly, I can truly say that right now that I honestly practice the best self-care ever when it comes to after work. When I'm done at work, when I clock out, I clock out. That's the favorite part of my day.
Yeah.
Clocking out at 3:30, because I was that teacher, like you said, that would stay to 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to come right.
You mean at night? I hope you weren't staying until the morning.
I wasn't. Then that's 24 hours. No, but I was that teacher who would stay late and then know you got to be back at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you basically just pull like a 12-hour shift at school,
and not made any extra money.
It didn't make any extra money for it.
And the problem that I have too is that like people actually will come at educators for not donating their time. Like people say, well, I saw those the parking lot was empty at 3:30.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, if you are not an educator, you have to understand, like, we're getting paid for our contracted time.
Yeah.
And anything that teachers choose to do above and beyond, that is on them.
Yes.
And they're not getting paid for it. And we can't expect people, like nobody would expect a business person to just volunteer their time.
Yes.
You know, like you're getting paid, you know, and so I think that's one very big misconception that people outside of education need to remember, that after school time is a donated volunteer work for an educator, unless it's like there's things I've done, like I've run after school programs, you know, tutoring programs where I'll get paid a little extra for that. But just staying after to donate your time to make a bulletin board that's going to get peeled off the wall in a week until 6 o'clock at night that's just not good for anybody's self-care. And I wanted to talk about one thing you said. I tell all of my like interns and student teachers, don't put your email on your phone. Like there's lots of reasons for that. But I mean, I can access my email through my phone. Yeah. But and if you do have it on there, set a boundary. I don't check my email for a couple of reasons after work. Number one, I'm liable for anything I see. And number two, if it's something that's immediate right then and there, and I'm not in a place where I can do my job. Yeah. Now I'm just stressed about it. I'm thinking about it, you know, and that's, and number three, all of that stuff coming at you, and I didn't turn this in, or can I turn this in tomorrow? Or, you know, that's just on your brain. Yes. So like I have a cutoff time, and I know as a counselor it's a little different. Yeah. But I mean, I genuinely say, and I tell the kid, don't email. I'm not checking emails after I get off work. Now, my job's a little different as far as crises are concerned, because I am part of the crisis management team. So if there is a death, or if there is a crisis, I will answer those phone calls. Like I will answer them for staff, because sometimes that's their one-time event. Yeah. And they always apologize. Like, I'm so sorry for bothering you. No, listen, if I didn't want to answer, I wouldn't have, but I will. So in that case, but other than that, if you're texting me and asking me about some test score about, or what's test question number 7 that you wanted me to, don't ask me that. Yeah, no. Don't ask me that at 7:15 in the morning.
And that also, goes for educators too. Like, set boundaries, period. Yeah. Because and respect just other people's boundaries. Because as educators, sometimes, like, and I used to work with teachers who did stuff like this. Like, they would be calling parents' houses at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. Like, why are you doing that? Yeah. Like, that is dinner time. Like, whatever you didn't get to them about, you should not be calling them, because you wouldn't like if they were calling you and you out with your kids having dinner or a soccer game or whatever. But then also, too, teachers.
Well, can I flip that before you say that? Yeah. Flip that. As a parent, don't request to have parent meetings at 7 p.m. Absolutely. Or 8 p.m. And I get that we work and we all have jobs. Yeah. But the amount of parents are like, well, why can't you stay until 6? No. Like that's just not the business hours of a school.
Not at all.
So if you're asking for a meeting, you know, it's your kid. You might have to take off some time from work. Yes. You might have to do now with our you know, Google Meets and Zooms and with phone calls, like you do phone meetings, but just respect the fact that nobody's going to be at school at 6 p.m. Yeah. And don't get mad about that.
It's like asking a Jeep or a Chrysler worker to take car parts home and continue building cars. Literally. Off the clock. Right. Like, why?
And then actually, when they're done building it, you need to have a meeting with them at 8 p.m. so you can show them how you built it.
Yeah, and so you can pick up the car too. Right. Like, no one's doing that. And then also, too, teachers, like, let's be mindful of other teachers sending out emails and all that other stuff at 7, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. Like, don't do that. It used to grind my gears when teachers would respond to, like, they would reply all the emails and it'd be like 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. Like, what? First of all, why are you thinking about work at 9 o'clock at night? Let's talk.
I will say sometimes I'm guilty of that, because I'll like think of something, but I learned that you can schedule emails.
Yeah, schedule.
So you can schedule it to go through the next day, like opening time. You can schedule it.
Like, I will be chilling at home, and that's why I took emails off my phone. Like, I would be chilling at home, and my phone will go off at 9 o'clock at night, and it's a teacher responding all to an email that was sent out this morning. Like, ma'am, are you really at home thinking about work at 9 o'clock at night?
Well, because like you said, because your brain never turns off, and so sometimes they might be.
No boundaries.
I'm going to the next one.
Okay.
I know that in your classroom that you have students that say some funny things. What is the funniest thing a student has ever said to you in your class?
The funniest,
or just
thing?
what's one of the funnier?
One of them asked me, was I born during the civil rights movement?
Why did they ask you that?
So we were reading.
Is it the beard?
No.
Oh.
Well, no. We were reading this book. We were reading Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't that book.
It's a good book, though.
Yeah, it's a great book, but it wasn't during the civil rights movement. It was something that we were doing. Oh, we were reading a news article that had to do with the civil rights movement. Something about it was the anniversary of Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
Back of the bus, all that stuff, whatever. And we were talking about it, and they was like, Mr. Cleveland, do you know if Rosa Parks is still alive or not? And I was like, no. They asked me, did I know how old she was when she died? And I was like, no, why would I know that? And it was like, well, wasn't you born when she got to the back of the bus? And I just moved on. I just moved on because what you're not going to do, you're not going to disrespect me like that.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, first of all, that happened in the 1960s. I was born in 1988. It's like, oh, I said, you thought the civil rights movement was in 1988? And it was like, yeah, we thought it was the same thing. No. I was a free black man by the time I came out of my mother's womb.
I didn't have to worry about I could sit where I wanted on the bus.
I could sit where I wanted on the bus, the front, the back, the middle.
Right, didn't matter.
It didn't matter. I could be anywhere on the bus.
These kids at their ages, though.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a student ask me the other day, so were you born back in the 1900s?
1900s.
I said I was born in the 1900s, but not 1900.
Not like 1901.
But the way they said it was so were you born back in the 1900s?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sounds so old.
Yes.
I mean, it was.
But 1900 is crazy.
Right. That's
crazy.
They don't know. They don't know ages. I mean, I will get a student that I just had gotten done telling a class of students that I have a 20-year-old son.
Yes.
And his child literally looked at me and said, what are you, 28? I was like, well, I know you guys are a little young for the reproduction talk, but I was not 8 when I had
my child.
And I appreciate you for that. And I know you're trying to get extra candy, but I need you to do some math.
Yes.
But then I also get mistaken as 70.
You're not getting any candy because you're being disrespectful.
Correct. No, I don't. You call me disrespectful. Old. Too old or too young, you're not getting candy.
Yeah. It probably was this civil rights thing with Rosa Parks. And I was like, what?
That's hilarious.
Oh, somebody else said, Mr. Cleveland, wasn't Rosa Parks Martin Luther King's baby mama? And I was like, I said Martin had a whole wife and 3 kids or more.
Did he have a side though?
Huh?
Did he have a side?
He did, but it wasn't Rosa Parks.
Well, I know that. They weren't that far off.
Yeah.
You acted like he couldn't even have the side.
No, but they were like, wouldn't he her baby mama? And I was like, no.
His kid's getting all the history put together. It all happened in one day too.
Why are you making history messy? That's what I need to know.
Because they wanted to make it more interesting.
I guess the story wasn't interesting enough. But yeah, they were like, wasn't Rosa Parks Martin Luther King's baby mama? And I was like, no. First of all, Rosa had a whole husband. And he had a whole wife and kids. Like, what?
Well, and you know that started a whole rumor. Somebody went to lunch, was like, you know what I heard? I heard Rosa Parks was Martin Luther King's baby mama.
And I bet that's exactly what it was.
I guarantee that went around the cafeteria.
Yep.
Kids were telling everybody.
Yeah, that's it. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Hilarious.
It's like, wasn't Rosa Parks Martin Luther King's baby mama? What? No.
No.
Whatever messy book that you're reading with civil rights, do not turn civil rights into an episode of Baddies.
Right.
Okay? Episode of Love and Hip Hop, whatever you want to call it. Do not.
They were trying something. They were like, this is not as interesting as it could be.
They was like, this is boring. Let's spice this up.
Yeah, let's throw some rumors out there.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
All right. This is my last question for you.
And I got one more after this.
How has the conversation around mental health in schools changed in recent years?
That's a good question.
I know, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's very good journalism. I will say, for the first part of me, so I've been a school counselor for 14 years, and the first part of that, I mean, my goal, I was going to save the world school counseling, right? We were still trying to adjust to the fact that we weren't guidance counselors, and schools weren't quite in it yet. They were just kind of like, no, I still need you to go do lunch duty for 5 periods, and also hallway duty and schedule all these classes, and oh no, you can't do any of that mental health stuff. And so I was like, I'm not going to work in a profession in a school. So I did have to work with my colleagues to make a lot of changes. I think the time that mental health changed and when people really started realizing was COVID.
Yes.
And I think part of it was people started to realize, number one, we were invited into the homes of our students and the students were invited to the homes of us. Number two, just the pandemic in general and the mental health that surrounded that. But I think parents, because not saying that parents aren't super in tune with their kids, but when you are charged with being the educator of your kids, you're with your kids 24/7, you're locked in the house. Being locked in the house in general was a lot of mental health.
Yeah.
And then coming back from the pandemic after school was closed and their whole world was wrecked.
Yeah.
Was when I think finally people were like, oh, this mental health in school things is actually a thing.
Yes.
And oh, wait, we do have people in the school that do that. And so I can say where I worked, we've worked really hard to create a full program that has always been mental health friendly. But I think everybody got on board when we were in COVID and came back from COVID. And it finally was like a thing where they're like, we need more of you. And I think that the teachers in the building that were kind of giving some pushback and like, or just in all the buildings that were like, what do you guys do all day? We're like, no, we get it now. And I think the administrators there was money given from our government to say, hey, we need more mental health in schools. So that helped because then they were able to put more mental health providers in schools. And then just the needs that started coming out of people coming back from COVID and when school started again. And I mean, there was a lot of loss, there was a lot of loss with COVID and a lot of grief and not just death from the disease, but my personal child was a senior in high school during COVID. He lost his entire senior baseball season. He lost his prom. His graduation looked very different, which was fine for him. But like for a lot of, that's grief. Like that was a lot of grief. There are the kids that I have now were the third grade learning how to read multiplication facts. And so now I'm coming in and now I'm not able to keep up with the curriculum as well as I could. So there was just a lot of things happening mental health wise. So I think that was really the recent change. I worry where we're at now. Because I am seeing a lot of things going backwards, like where it's not as important, like we're cutting a lot of money now in services and the COVID money's running out. And although people all recognize that mental health is important, I'm not sure that all of our legislators are acknowledging that. And if they are, they're certainly not funding it. And it's really easy to make the services that aren't direct classroom teachers the first ones on the chopping block when you don't have the money. And the problem is that nothing's going away. Like it's the mental health is there.
Well, and you know what? And I think the other problem with that too is that people in legislature, and I feel like I wouldn't say adults, but really just people in legislature, like they just feel like because COVID is over, the pandemic is over, like we just go back to what life was like. And that doesn't work like that because you need to think about it. Like we as a society have not dealt with post-COVID trauma, grief, whatever. Just the fact that we were in a pandemic, period.
In general. That had never been experienced really in our generation. Like there was maybe the older people, but not like the kids and not like the teachers and people attending school.
Like there was never a thing where like the whole world was shut down and we had to stay in the house for a whole year. And I can't speak on that because I wasn't around during those pandemics. You ask my kids, I probably was. But I wasn't around during those pandemics. But I just know for us that being in the house for a whole year, then when the world opened back up, we're in the house, out the house, in the house, out the house. We're in school,
it was very confusing.
It was so confusing. But then even once we got out of that, like I just felt like honestly, like we needed like a global group therapy.
We did.
Because we needed to sit down and be like, what the hell did we just experience?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
And because you can't do that, we see the impact of that. And especially in schools, because I mean, my next year's sister, that was my son, my youngest son. He was a kindergartner. His very first experience with school was getting it shut down halfway through kindergarten. And so that's what's now starting to come through is all of that.
A lot of COVID babies.
And well, the COVID babies have the ones that were made during COVID.
Well, no, I'm talking about
I was like, those ones that everybody was making in the house. We got a couple years for those coming in. But.
So like my 4th through 6th graders, they are the COVID babies. They were the ones that like school got shut down and they had to be stuck in the house.
And they've never been to school before.
They had never been to school before. And so I just feel like so many people just feel like, oh, COVID's over. We need to just go back to life and how it was. We can do that, but we need to process what happened for those 2 years of life where life was shut down. People lost their jobs. People lost their family members. You couldn't have this connection with people. I had to stand 6 feet away. some people had to go to work and had to put themselves in dangerous conditions. Kids couldn't go to school. They couldn't graduate. They couldn't go to prom. They couldn't have football and baseball. Like so much changed. And then once it's over, it was just like, oh, all right, go back to school, go to work.
And I think for me, just looking at the mental health that I'd seen a lot, I see a lot more anxiety than anything. And not even related to COVID, but just a lot more anxious kids about everything.
Because the world is changing.
Because the world is changing, and the world did change. And you know what? That threw everybody for a loop. So what's to say that my world's not going to change? It's almost like that past trauma. And now I'm anxious and I got to prepare for this. And not only that, you know, we wore masks for so long. And you know, when you work with the age group that we work with, we're already struggling with our self-image. And so I think it was a good thing for some kids because they could just kind of hide. I still see kids that are wearing masks. I'm like, you know, you are not wearing that for illness. You are wearing that because you don't want to show your face, and that's fine.
It was like when some kids took them off, I was like, this is what you look like?
I know, right? You're like, oh, or like the teachers or staff or parents. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was your whole face.
I'm so used to with a mask on.
That's how I feel about my nail lady. Like when she first took hers off, I was like, oh, I've never actually seen your full
nice
face.
to meet you.
But I think for some of the kids, it did maybe increase. Number one, I teach a lot of social skills. And just I've had to do a lot more how to talk to people. Like I literally did a group activity the other day, and I was like, okay, I need you. You're in groups of 4. Here's your group. We're having a conversation. We should be turned around looking at people. And I look around the room. Tell me why this one group was passing the paper around, and everybody was writing the answer. I said that is not a conversation. So just going back and teaching those general, like we're looking, and part of that is COVID.
Skills,
part of it is like social media and phones and things. We don't know how to have conversations. But I think that those two things combined with the kids we have now, just teaching a lot more of those skills. Because we don't have them.
I mean, even adults now too. I mean, like how many adults and kids you hear like, I don't like people. Well, I wouldn't like people either if I was stuck in the house for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I won't lie. I said that sometimes before. Like for me,
I don't like the general public.
I don't like deal with the general public. I like people with the general public because some of y'all be tripping. But like, I can honestly say before COVID, I had no problem going into Kroger, going to the grocery store. But now I would do a Kroger delivery or pickup
easily,
so quick because I need to avoid the public. And not like you said, like it's not even just that you don't like people in general, but it's just the anxiety of just like like
just that, or the fact that we didn't have to do it. Like I had to change a hotel reservation because I had an added day, then it wouldn't let me do it online. Can I tell you? I don't mind talking to people. It took me 2 hours to just like, fine, I guess I got to call. I was so miserable having to call and talk to this person about changing this reservation. I was annoyed I couldn't do it online. So maybe just even like the lack of patience and just like people just don't have a lot of patience because we're used to the online and the access and everything's just right there.
I literally, there we go. Can't get that out. Literally, if I can't do it online, I'm just like, it must not be meant to be happening.
Well, and that's
or like if it's over the phone, like to pay a bill or something. Online or over the phone. Like I'm not going to the actual building and paying for it. Like I just don't have time for that. If I can't like take care of it over the phone or online, I'm just like, well, I guess. And that's
how I felt. And that's why I tried to find every way around it. I spent more time trying to find a way around having to make a phone call and talk to somebody than actually. And I was like, do I really have to do this? There's got to be a way. And I'm like, and then finally I just gonna have to call. And they were really nice. I don't know why, but I think I think all of that combined. When you talk about mental health in schools, those are what we're and now we're being forced with lack of resources, and counselors are worried they're not going to have a job, and if it's not the school counselors, we're also cutting our auxiliary services, and you know, we're just not giving the same access because we did recognize for a while after COVID it was super important. But like you said, I think now they're like, oh, we're 5 years out, just it's no big deal, but it's still very much impacting our kids.
Basically, what they're saying.
It is, but it's definitely impacting our kids.
Absolutely,
and it's going to impact our kids for as long as the kids that were in kindergarten, so our next year 6th graders are out of school. Because they knew that. Now the kids that hadn't been in school yet, they're not going to know a whole lot. But all right, last question for you. Right. What advice would you give someone that is considering becoming a teacher?
The advice that I would give is, I was gonna say don't do it. No, I'm just playing.
No, do it.
No, do it. Seriously. No. First of all, I'm gonna just be honest with you. If you are going to take education for the money, this is the wrong field for you. Because education is so much bigger than that. So before you decide to apply for a job and you decide to sign the contract, ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to make an impact in the world, or am I doing this because I want to make the money? And we are in a generation now where everybody knows that teachers are underpaid. I think that when I was in college and then when you were in college, they didn't really express that too much.
Mm-hmm.
And we just thought like, if you get your degree and get a career and get salary, you balling out here. And that's not the case.
No.
But now teachers, we are so transparent and we're just like, look, like if you get in for the money, this ain't for you, you know? So I would just say, think about your why. Think about your why. Mm-hmm. Number two.
And you could make money in education.
Yes.
You just have to know that it's going to be a lifelong career.
Absolutely.
Because the way money is made in education is you have to stick around for a while.
Stick around.
And I'm not saying that, and when I say make money, I don't mean, you're not going to be rolling with some Rolex watches and a sports car. And, I don't want people to walk away and think you're never going to make money, but it can't be, it's not the get rich job.
Yeah, not at all.
I'm going to work and I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to live out my passion, and the paycheck's a bonus.
It's a long-term investment.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It really is.
It really is. So I would say, think about your why. Also, to give yourself grace. Like you are not going to be perfect.
You're not Michelle Pfeiffer.
You're not Michelle Pfeiffer. You are not going to solve the world.
You're not Coach Carter.
In 2 hours. No, not at all. But give yourself grace and know that you're going to have bad days and you're going to have great days. But with the bad days, always find at least 1 or 2 positives in that within that day. And no matter if you've been in the game for 1 year or 20 years, I've been in this game for 13 years, and you are going to have bad days. Yeah. You are going to have days where you're going to question yourself. You're going to question, should you be doing this? But keep going and stick with it and allow yourself to grow. Then don't be afraid to ask questions. Yes. Like, don't be afraid to go to a teacher and say, hey, do you have any tips on how to deal with this? Do you have any tips on how to handle this or teach this or whatever? And if you are that teacher who's gatekeeping, put gatekeeping. I know there are teachers in this world who don't share any of their secrets. And I'm just like,
makes no sense to me.
It's stupid. So don't
if you're good at what you do, share it. And I think
share it. Yeah.
I think when you talk about that you're going to have the bad days and you got to kind of find the positives, but remember them. Like I always tell my interns and student teachers, I have a warm fuzzy file.
Yeah.
And anytime I get a note, a funny, like a kid says something funny, I write it down. Or if they give me an art project or a thank you note, a parent does, I put it in this warm fuzzy file.
Yeah.
And when those days happen, when I literally am like, why am I doing this anymore? I pull it out and I'll just pick something out of it and I'll read it. So what my why is I realize that what I do, I'm planting seeds, and I might not see the impact for a while, but I have a wall of fame in my office.
Yeah.
And I take, every time I see a former student in the world and they're living they've graduated and they're living a life of, they're like not in jail and doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
I take a selfie with them because they're my heroes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have it on my wall. I literally can turn around and my colleagues tease me. They're like, you get so excited when you tell us the stories about all these kids on the wall because they're like my kids. But I can turn around if I'm having a bad day or if I'm frustrated with a kid and I'm like, why is this not working? And I can find somebody on that wall that was that kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that you have to remember and write down and keep with you, because you're going to have days you're going to be like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah. And I always think about the funny moments.
Yes.
Stuff like Rosa Parks being Martin Luther King's baby mama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like when I am having those bad days, with the class or whatever, I'm like, okay, today wasn't really a good day, but man, what they said earlier today, that was hilarious. You know what I'm saying? So I think about that, but give yourself grace. Know that it's going to be okay. Don't be afraid to ask for help, but also to set your boundaries. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, as much as we love our kids, we love our babies, it's also a job. And you clock in and you clock out. And when it's time to go, if you want to stay for a little bit after school, that's cool. But set boundaries and say, like, look, I am leaving at 4 and I'm out. Staying at work to 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and you have your own family. And not if you don't have a family, you just have time with yourself.
Yeah.
Set boundaries. And it's okay. And it's okay to set boundaries, I feel like, with your admin and tell them, hey, I know that it needs to be done, but I'm going home.
And it's not always easy. Like I had to share something with my admin. Like there's a meeting that an event that I probably should be at. And my kids got something going on.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to. I sat outside that door. I'm like, ugh. And I was like, I got something going on with my family and I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
And I hated it and I didn't like it because I think as teachers, we care. Like,
yes.
Those kids are as much my babies as my kids are.
Yes.
But ultimately, in the end, I've had my kids look at me and say, do you like your work kids better than you like us?
Yeah.
And that was really when it changed for me, when I was like, oh, no, that can't be it. And I think that teachers will struggle with that. And that
they will,
because they do see, like, there are certain times that my work kids need more things from me.
Yeah.
Where my kids are cool and they got their own thing going on, but I have to remember, your mom first, your wife or husband first, your partner first, your, son or whoever cares for you in that life. You're that first.
Yes.
And your job is there. And yes, those are your kids, those are your babies, but your people need you as well.
Your people need you as well. Absolutely. And so you have to set those boundaries. So that's what I would say to teachers, man. And stick with it. Don't get discouraged. Don't let the bad days make you be like, like I'm going to put in my 2-week notice. You know what I'm saying? Like, stick with it, because the thing is that when kids feel like they can run you out, that's when they know they got you.
That fresh meat,
man. Listen, when they know like, we got them.
Yeah.
That's when they know that like they've won the battle. And stick with it. I always say, don't smile until Christmas.
Well, you didn't say, you weren't the first to say that.
No, I'm saying that's what I say now.
I smile. No, I
smile. Don't smile to Christmas. That's why my kids is like, man, Mr. Cleveland's so strict. But now they're like, oh, we
like you now.
So
we didn't like you then, but we like you now.
They love me.
Well,
now,
and you know what?
I'm smiling because school's almost.
And take a deep breath and find your counselor, find your resource, find your teacher friend, find that person that like you hold it tough in the class, and then you walk out and fall apart somewhere else, and that's okay. There's people there. Don't feel bad about that. We've all been there and done that. Yeah. I always joke. I'm like, I think I've had every single, not everyone, but I've had a whole lot of staff members in my office that have had some tears and some moments, and I'm okay with that.
That's good.
I've had them. I have a chair in my corner that I always tell my kids that are my crying chair, and they're like, "Have you?" Oh, yes. Yeah. I go to that chair and I will cry too, because sometimes the days are just tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I have a little game.
Oh.
It's a rapid fire game.
Oh, Lord. Is this like this or that?
It's kind of like this or that, but it's just like there's not two choices.
Okay.
We're just going to quick, you, me, okay?
All right.
So, favorite subject or topic to teach?
English.
Or topic.
Oh, like in English?
Yeah.
This is not very rapid.
Well, I didn't know you were going to think this hard.
I am. It's so much in English to teach about. You know what? I love doing novel studies. I love when we get a good book and we can sit down and discuss it.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
I love teaching about emotions.
Yes.
I think it's really important that they recognize that emotions are natural. And it's actually just fun. Like, you can teach about emotions and do a lot of really fun things.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. Least favorite school lunch as a kid?
Oh, man. We used to have macaroni, cheese, and peas.
Wait, together?
No.
Oh,
no.
I'm envisioning these little green specks in the package.
In the package, you had like the one side was like supposed to be like your protein, and they had like your veggies.
They didn't have packages.
Okay, well, this was in the 90s, so.
Well, I was also in the 80s. Well, I was back in the day when they actually cooked food.
Oh no, they weren't doing this.
No, when I was in school, I'm young. I'm old enough to remember when they were making like.
So that's
homemade meals.
No, in the 90s, it came prepackaged. They popped that thing in the oven. It was what it was. So it came
like a TV dinner.
Pretty much, no, for real, it was like a TV dinner. Seriously.
Okay.
So
Kid cuisine.
Yep. So it came in like the prepackaged.
Okay.
It was packaged in plastic, and you had like it's supposed to be your protein on one side. You had your veggie or whatever, and then they gave you like your fruit or whatever. So they didn't serve this all the time, but I would hate it. They would serve macaroni, cheese, and peas. So the macaroni and cheese was your protein, and then the peas was your veggies.
What was your fruit?
The fruit would be like they had like the fruit cups.
Okay, so hopefully that was all right.
Like that. I mean, that was fine, but I was just I was not a fan of peas.
Yeah.
Together, you know what I'm saying? Like I love mac. I'll deal with peas, but I'm not dealing with it as together. As the dinner. Like we're just not doing that. Oh, and they used to have, it was so disgusting. They used to do these ham and cheese sandwiches.
Like the cold ones?
Yeah, but they would put them in the oven.
Oh, I liked those.
But they were prepackaged.
Oh, no.
So it was like the meat, because it had been like sitting in the oven, it would just be like.
Oh, and the cheese would get all like the bread, the edge of the bread would get hard and crusty. You can't bite into it. Yeah. I only know that from teaching. Like I said, I was fortunate to grow up in the cafeteria where is cooked. But mine was fish sticks.
You don't like fish sticks?
I don't like fish. And that might be why I don't, because it was so it was like floppy. Like the fish sticks were floppy.
Yeah.
It was not crispy. And it had this weird like the breading would just slide
off.
Oh.
Ugh. Yeah, no.
That might be why I don't like fish.
Wow.
Most used phrase in your classroom right now.
Y'all boiling my grits.
Not from you, but the kids. They say that.
I
was like, they say that?
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
Okay, so yes, you. Go ahead.
Yes.
You're boiling my grits.
You boiling my grits. When I say you're boiling my grits, that is my teacher way of saying you're about to piss me off. That's what I say. And they know it too. They'll be like, what'd I do to even boil your grits? I didn't even do nothing. Yes.
Yeah, they're boiling.
But from them is bro and capping.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you capping. Yeah. Or I ain't even do nothing. That's the other one.
Oh my gosh.
I ain't even do nothing.
It wasn't me.
Yep.
Yeah. Mine is what I said earlier. You don't have the respect of the room. I don't have the respect of the room. Yeah. I'll go ahead and start when you're all, this is it, seated, silent, and ready for me to start.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
But mostly the respect of the room.
Yeah.
Best excuse you've ever heard for missing homework?
From what?
For like a student missing homework.
Oh, my brother threw it in the trash. I'm like, so your brother just went in your book bag and picked out that one assignment and was like, well, I'm throwing this in the trash. Yeah, my brother threw it in the trash. I was walking to school and it got wet in the rain, so I just left it there.
That's why you see all that litter.
Yep.
Mine was like that. It was it blew away in the wind on the way in. I always like to chase it because I really wanted to see that.
Yeah.
But I get the blue wind. I didn't take a lot of it when I had home. I don't give home obviously now, but I didn't take excuses. Like as soon as they said, nope, stop.
Yeah.
Just tell me you didn't do it. That's I don't need to hear.
Yeah. Or the other one is you didn't even give homework, so everybody else turned it in.
Oh, we had homework.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Best snack that you like to hide in your desk.
Granola bars.
Mm-hmm. For you?
Yes, because they're a good one. They're from Sam's Club. They're like really good.
Yeah, the Sam's Club one are good.
Yeah,
I have those.
They are good.
I have those in my office for the students. Yeah. Mine, they're not touching my peanut butter filled pretzels.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got protein.
Mine is gonna and mine is Sour Patch Kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Although occasionally I will dig them out and have a couple in front of them. They be like, I thought we couldn't eat them. No, you can't eat them.
Right.
They're
mine. I can. So mine is the peanut butter pretzels and nutty bars from like Little Debbie's.
Yeah, the nutty buddies.
I keep those in my.
Yeah.
I literally had a kid walk in the other day, not even asking. I had like a nutty bar. I'd already eaten half of it, broke off half and just put it in there. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Out of your drawer?
No, I was like on my desk because like I was in the middle of eating it. I turned around to get something, and the next thing I know, they were breaking it out. I'm like,
he broke off the other half.
Who entitled you to touch the nutty bar that I'm eating myself?
Wow.
In my desk.
Matter of fact, here, just take the rest.
Right, I did because I was like, I don't know where those hand washing and just you take that. The subject that you would never want to teach. Math. I can't even do math past fifth grade, so math.
Yep, math. No.
Mm-mm. Funniest nickname a student's given you?
Besides Unc. I mean, I guess Unc.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, Big C.
Big C?
Big C, because Cleveland.
Oh.
Big C.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
Big C. That was one of my 8th graders. Big C.
Big C. I like that.
Yeah.
Is that where Big T came from?
No.
It was the evolution of Big T.
I guess. But no.
That's funny.
But yeah, Unc and Big C.
Yeah. I don't get a lot of I don't know if they've ever given me a nickname. At least that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some. I don't know. You know what? Okay, this isn't a nickname, but I did get voted. So part of what I used to teach when I was a teacher was like we did cooking and nutrition classes.
Yeah.
So I would always have an apron on, even if I wasn't teaching, just because I didn't want to get my clothes messed up.
Yeah.
I did get voted most like Mrs. Claus. So maybe Mrs. Claus would be the best nickname that I've been given. I don't know.
Mrs. Claus is crazy.
I guess it was, and I was young too. I was like 24,
really?
25. I don't know. Because I had the Mrs. Claus vibe.
I guess.
Let's see. Classroom rule that you secretly love enforcing. Like they don't like it, but you're like, I love this.
When they want to borrow a writing utensil from me, they have to give me something collateral.
Yes.
Because I'm confused about we come to school for 183 days and you don't have a writing utensil.
Correct.
So at the beginning of the year, I used to supply pencils. Like I bought like this box of pencils. It was like a lot of them. It was like 250 of them. And they were and I would just pull out like a few. Yeah. And they were just like going through them. And I would never get them back. And I was like, it was like right before spring break. And I was like, we're not doing that no more. I'm not supplying no more pencils for nobody. And so I started taking collateral. And I was like, I need something from you. I need a shoe. I need your fanny pack that you got, your water bottle. You need to give me something. Yeah. Because that way I know I get my stuff back.
I can't do the shoes though because feet.
I don't keep it on. Like I put it under my desk.
No, I mean your babies are still young.
I don't mean nothing.
No, I'm just saying that as we have
Oh, I know.
So you get closer to puberty. No, you can take that shoe off, and I can smell it across.
Hit puberty already when they take their shoe
like
off.
I can smell it across. I'm like, keep the shoe. Like, take the lace out. I don't care, but I don't want that shoe.
Yeah, no, I always make them give me something.
Yeah, I think mine is the one that I'm always like, their desk has to be completely cleared off.
Yeah,
like it has to, whatever we need and everything off. But the one lately that just makes them so mad, but I think it's hilarious, is they think they're slick with their AirPods because like they'll put the AirPods in and then they'll have like a hat on or like something where or their hair over it.
Yeah, and
they act like they think I can't see the fact that they have AirPods in.
Yeah.
So now I am like, headphones off, AirPods out. I'll wait because you can tell if they're listening to something, and then I'll still wait, and so they're like, why are we gotta take this out? I mean, and I let people listen to music, but if I'm like talking, it's rude. So they get mad at me, but I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. Your favorite motivational quote?
Man. Just like in general, or like for
in general for education, whatever.
In general, well, my favorite two that I always say is if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And I'm real big on leadership and not being a follower. Like, be your own person. And faith without work is dead. Like, you have to put in the work. You can have all the faith that you want, but if you're not doing the work, like, your faith just doesn't matter. Yeah. Because it's just not going to drop in your lap.
Right.
So yeah, faith. Oh, and then the other one is dreams don't work unless you do.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another good one.
I think mine, my big one is shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll fall among the stars. I like that one so for precious. Like, yeah, shut up. No, but the other one that I like that I saw that just kind of makes sense to what I do is it said, I was mad because I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. And I think that one is just really just kind of puts things in perspective, that we sometimes think things are a really big deal.
Yeah.
And when in reality, there are things, and not saying that we can't be upset about things, but there are things out there that could be worse.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just in perspective. Pick your battles. That's another one.
Yeah. Oh, and was one that we have been using in our school that I really like. You are free to choose, but you are not free of your consequences.
Oh, for sure. I use that one a lot.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I love that one. I always tell my kids, like, we all have choices, but we all have consequences.
Well, and that's, and they always used to throw kids off when I was in the classroom. They're like, I don't want to do this work. I'm like, okay, don't.
Yep.
And they're like, wait, I don't have to. I'm like, I didn't say that you don't have to. I'm just saying you have a choice.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that work. That's fine.
But just be ready for the consequences.
But there is going to be a consequence at the end of that. And it always blows their mind because I think kids are so used to us just always telling them they can't do something.
Yeah.
And when I'm like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's your choice.
Yeah.
But there's going to be consequences.
Yeah. And I think they're just used to adults like yelling and being like, you're gonna do it. Or
telling them what they can and can't do, giving them all the rules and all the guidelines. They don't let them think for themselves.
Yeah, but when we sound like, all right, don't do it. Don't do it. Just walk away.
Yeah. And then they're like, wait, what?
What you mean?
Right.
Like, I can go to sleep.
And honestly, I think that invites some really good conversations.
Yeah.
Because then you can have a conversation about, well, I mean, yeah, that's fine, but let me tell you what's going to happen if you don't.
Yes.
And if you do.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the song always pumps you up before work?
Kendrick Lamar, Humble.
Okay.
That's this. I don't know. It's just the beat. It gets me going. That's actually one of my favorite Kendrick Lamar songs. Sometimes I say it in class too. Like my kids, like they'll say something. I'll be like, sit down. And my class like, be humble. So yeah.
Your little recall.
Yeah.
Mine is It's Gonna Be a Good Day. Is that what it's called?
It's by Ice Cube?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Today was a good day?
Today was a good day. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Today was a good day. I thought it was a good day is what it's called.
It might be called It Was a Good Day.
It was a good day. That's my good pump up song. Like if I start my day off of that, it's always a good day. What's the first thing you do when you get home from school? Maybe I shouldn't ask this.
Yeah. Teacher appropriate. The first thing I do when I get home from school, honestly, I throw on some slides. Like I change. Yeah. Like I get out my teacher clothes, I put on some sweats, throw on my slides, put on a t-shirt, whatever, and then I just like sit for a minute.
Yeah.
And then
I come home, I feed the dogs, and then as soon as that's over, I typically will brain rot on my phone for about a half hour.
Yeah.
Just mindless scrolling. And I have to like actually put a timer on that though.
Yeah.
And just sit in peace. And if I can't have peace because my personal children are annoying me, I will go up and lay down in bed and just take a quick nap.
Yeah. No, I usually sit and pour a drink.
I thought we were being teacher appropriate.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Wait, teachers, they know we drink.
Of course.
They should.
Right.
That's why we drinking, because of these kids.
Right. These kids. What's one thing you wish you could ban from your classroom forever?
Ooh, the word shut up.
Yeah. You like that?
Oh man, I just tore my kids a new one yesterday. about the word shut up. When I say I told them a new one, like, I'm pretty sure the way I did it was in between Mr. Cleveland and Ty, because it started off like, we've had this conversation multiple times about the word shut up. If I hear it one more time, it's going to be on the floor. And they was like, like, it was dead silent. And I think it's because I told them, like, it's going to be on the floor. And they know what that means. Like, I'm done playing with y'all. But because it's been like, shut up, bro. Shut up. Talk.
I can't say that.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So.
Well, and I'm afraid I'm going to clap. Okay, you shut up. Like, I'm like, and I won't. And I don't want to do that. But
and I told him, I said, if I told you shut up, you go home and tell your mom and dad.
And I'd be in trouble.
And I'd be in trouble. So, no. I said, if I hear it one more time, it's going to be on the floor. And they was like.
When I worked at my that summer camp, we used to have a nickel jar.
Yeah.
And anytime that they called people stupid or said shut up or said a cuss word, they had to put a nickel in the jar.
Oh.
We went to Nickel World after. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah. I would ban, honestly, I don't want to ban cell phones.
Yeah.
But I would like I have a little cell phone holder and I don't tell kids what to do.
Yeah.
But I strongly encourage them with a lot of guidance to put their phones in there.
Yeah.
I have kids that have phones, and I like the fact that if I need to text my kids something, like, I hope they don't read it during school, but like, hey, the keys under the mat or whatever.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to get that, but I think it really is distracting when kids are just constantly on the phone. And that's why I have kids put stuff under their desk. Mm-hmm. And and yes, they still have in their pocket. And then I just make some sarcastic comment about, what are you looking at? That's really, if you were from my perspective and you saw what I see,
it looks a
little weird.
Yeah.
And that, but I think that there's just a lot of things that happen on phones throughout the day.
Yes.
That causes, in my perspective of what I do, a lot of drama unnecessarily that impacts learning.
Absolutely.
So, if we're snapping people in between classes or during class or sending text messages and now I'm fighting with you because so-and-so shared this, and it becomes a mess.
Yep. Well, you saw that Mike DeWine signed that bill recently. And so, like, is getting enforced, and a lot of schools are about to start cracking down on these cell phones. So parents, don't be upset with us about cell phones. You better take it up with Mike DeWine.
Yep.
You should have voted.
Yeah, right.
You should have went out and voted.
What's the weirdest thing a student ever brought to class?
The weirdest thing they brought to class? Oh my God. When I worked at two schools ago, one of my 8th graders brought a lizard to parent-teacher conferences, and one of the teachers was holding it like on her shoulder, and it peed. It peed on her. Yep. And she just is like, oh, like, she peed on you. And she's like, oh, by the way, she's pregnant. Like, the lizard was pregnant.
Was she giving birth on the shoulder?
No. It's like, I guess we learned that when lizards are pregnant, like, they just pee a lot.
I mean, I pee a lot when I was pregnant.
Well,
too.
There you go. So women must be lizards. maybe it was a female lizard.
Call me a lizard.
Well, it has to be, yeah.
Mine was a kitten.
Really?
Just put the kitten. It was, and this was at a high school, by the way.
Wow.
I mean, elementary school, I can understand that, but why are you, as a grown high school student, putting a kitten in your book bag?
Wow.
Just like a meowing kitten. I actually have a picture. I should dig it up and show you of me holding the kitten.
Wow.
We just brought our kitten.
Yeah, that lizard was.
It wasn't BYOK.
Yeah, bring your own kitten.
Yeah, it wasn't BYOL.
Yeah, I was just like, so we just gonna sit in this conference and just act like this is normal?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sure are.
Yes, it's crazy because I still remember that student's name too.
Why? I do too.
That was a long time ago.
I do too.
I'm pretty sure she's an adult now.
Same. Mine's probably like married with children. One thing that you wish parents understood better.
Teaching ain't easy. Y'all, please don't think this is like some cookie cutter, cut, dry, copy and paste type position. I think that parents think that us as teachers, like, we just supposed to just do anything and everything, but at the end of the day, we are human.
Yeah.
We are people.
That's the word right there. We're human.
We are human.
With families.
Yes, with families.
Lives.
Like, when I clock out at the end of the day at 3:30, I go back to just being me as an adult. One of the things, this actually happened at my the previous school that I was at. I had went to this particular establishment. Me and a good friend of mine who I'm still friends with, but we taught at the same school, and we went to this particular establishment and had drinks, right? It was me, it was him, and it was another coworker. Do you know this parent took a picture of us and sent it to my principal?
Yeah.
And was like, they're out drinking on a school night and blah, 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 blah.
You're like, hell yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, because it's your child, for one. And number two, I still come in here and I still effectively do my job the next day. And so, like, my principal came to me and was like, I just want to let you know that, like, I'm not saying you can't do what you do, but just people out here that be watching. People's like, I personally don't care.
Right.
Just pay attention. And so I ended up finding out who it was because it was very obvious because that parent was there. You know what I'm saying? But I was just like, I need you to understand that in the day, I am human.
Yes.
And when I clock out at 3:30, I don't care if I wanted to be in this establishment at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
If I decide,
so you want to go to the after party, you could have went to the after party,
and I could still wake up and go to work and do my job. You know what I'm saying? But like, just understand that we are human people that like to do human stuff, and we have human emotions.
Right.
And when you come in and you hooping and hollering and you doing all that cussing and fussing and everything, it doesn't solve nothing. So I really just wish parents to like just
teachers
understand.
Are human.
Teachers are human, and that this job ain't easy.
No.
And like, we're not just dealing with just your child. We are dealing with 25 other kids that have behavior problems, academic problems, social and emotional problems. So just give grace and be understanding. Just know like this job is not what y'all think it is. Yeah. What about you?
So mine's kind of honestly the play off of that one. I wish parents would understand that we are not against you.
Yes.
And so we're not targeting your kids.
Yes.
And I think that parents don't always understand that the rules and regulations and stipulations that are put on schools that might make it seem like we're not trying to do anything to help your kid.
Yeah.
We just sometimes can't. Like, I know one of the biggest ones is, if there is a social media situation that happens, like if we're kids, and I social media Snapchat bully you at 9 p.m. and nothing else happened, nothing came into the school building, right? Other than the fact that this kid sent a mean message to you at 9 p.m. The schools legally can't do anything about that.
Yes.
And I don't think parents always understand that. Like, schools need to do more things about bullying, and they never can. They or Snapchatting and saying mean things all night long. Well, the fact of the matter is, if it doesn't come into the school, if it wasn't done during school hours, but now if it's done during school hours, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
But like, there are rules, regulations, and stipulations that we have to follow. There is confidentiality that, when it comes to things, like it's called FERPA. So if you don't know, look it up. And so if something happens, like if you and another child, your child and another child get into a fight, we can't tell you the details of the other child. We can't tell you the other child's name. We can't tell you what happened to their child. And understand that that's not because we don't want to or we want to make your life miserable. We can't. Like, legally cannot. And so I think that because of some of those, like sometimes as parents, we might think that our schools are against us and against our kids, and you're not doing anything to help us. And you let all of these things happen, and really our hands are tied. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, like we are here to work in collaboration with you. Yes. And we want to help your child. Like, we want to have you come into the school and be a part of it and be there and be involved in the decision making. And we're not there to be against you. And if you had a bad experience in school, we're not trying to we don't want you to have to come in and feel like it's going to be that situation. Yeah. Like, we're there because we care about you. We care about your kids, but we're not against you. Like, we are here and we will do our best, but there are just things that tie our hands. Yeah. And so coming in and screaming and cussing because your child's being bullied at home at 4 p.m. on Snapchat, there's nothing they can do. File a police report. Yeah. Like,
and the cussing and fussing does nothing.
It does nothing. It just honestly makes people have a harder time partnering with you. Yes. Because if you're yelling and screaming at me, I mean, I'm not gonna speak to you. I'm gonna be like, "Are you done?" Because we can table this until we're calm. Yes. And I don't get that a lot. I mean, if people are yelling, it's because they're yelling about something to me. Yeah. But that you're not solving. You're not problem solving. Yeah. And if we give solutions, and if there's a role for you to play as a parent, play the role. Yes. We're going to play our role. And you know what? And if we're not, then hold us accountable in a positive, non-yelling, cussing way. Yes. And we'll do the same, because it's really hard to problem solve when you're screaming, yelling, blaming, but then you're turning around at home and nothing's changing. Yeah.
And also know too, when you're cussing and fussing, you get a safe schools filed on you. So you might not want to do that. Yeah. And
not even be allowed to. And it's not because we are against you. Yeah. There are rules and regulations. Like, schools are charged with keeping, like you said, your child isn't the only child. Yes. We're charged with keeping however many kids in that building safe. Yes. And whatever that looks like. And if you're unsafe, you don't get to come to school. Yeah.
And just know, like you said, some stuff is out of our hands. Some stuff is the law. And I'm not losing my job for breaking the law to make you satisfied. No, I got bills to pay.
Again, we're human. We have families. We have jobs. And so I think that's the biggest thing. Just understand, we want to partner with you. Yes. We are limited. The law says certain things that we can and can't do. Yeah. But we are here. Just ask. Yeah. And you know what? Keep asking and ask around. Call a counselor. Call an administrator. Call the teacher. And start with the teacher first. If you have a complaint about their classroom, start there. Don't call their boss. Yes. Don't go over their head and do that. Yeah. That's the other thing. call the teacher,
Yes.
address it with the teacher. If it still doesn't get resolved, then you can call the admin. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the amount of parents that will just, I'm going straight to the, and then you know what? As soon as they don't hear, I'm going to the school board. You don't need to do all that. You don't need to do all that. Just come to the teacher, and then if that doesn't go to the administrator, take the
chain
steps.
of command.
Yes, go through the chain of command because it will get you farther.
Yes,
it will.
Absolutely.
Last one. Coolest field trip destination that you've ever been to?
Oh, you know what? When we took our kids to Clark Atlanta and Spelman and Morehouse for the HBCU College Tour, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A whole lot of fun. It was so dope taking my middle school kids there. They just got to see people that look like them going for higher education, seeing people that look like them have fun, and then just being immersed in the culture of HBCU. And then also just doing stuff outside of the education part, just like going to see different things of Atlanta. We went to the World of Coca-Cola, which was really a lot of fun. We went to different restaurants down there. Like we saw like a lot of really cool things, and literally like those kids are adults. And I actually just ran into one of them not too long ago at Walmart. And
it's always at the grocery store.
It's always at Walmart.
Always at the grocery store.
This is why I avoid Walmart.
But for me, it's like it doesn't matter what the grocery store is. It's just the grocery store.
Yeah, it's the grocery store. Period. But yeah, I just recently saw her at Walmart, and like what came up, the whole conversation about going to Atlanta, and was like, we grown now, Mr. Cleveland. We need to do an Atlanta trip.
A reunion.
Yeah, not with y'all, okay? Because now I'm
up.
Y'all the nieces and nephews. I can't be hanging out with y'all. I like to go to bed by 8. Okay, y'all don't like to come outside until 8 o'clock.
Hilarious.
So.
Mine was I was actually doing a long-term sub as a counselor, and I was able to go and do a leadership. It was like a 2-day leadership. It was at like a camp. There was a high ropes course, a low ropes course, a lot of team building and leadership activities.
Yeah.
And although the destination wasn't super exciting, the amount of leadership and development that I got to see in the kids was super cool.
Yeah.
And I did not do the high ropes course because I am terrified of heights, but I was one of the spotters, so I got to like help them go through the course. So for me, that was really cool.
Yeah. All right. So, before we wrap this thing on up, of course, it's the first show of the month. So we had to shout out some educators because it's Educators Week. And we went, and like I said, we made a post on our Facebook page, Instagram, and our TikTok. And we wanted you guys to tag some amazing educators, and the responses were crazy. We had a lot of people who tagged a lot of dope educators. So we just want to shout them out here on the show. So this is our shout out portion of the show. So Miss Amy, what amazing educators are we shouting out today?
So the first amazing educator we're shouting out is actually you.
Oh.
So DeJuan Johnson shouted out Mr. Big C.
Big C.
Big C. The best teacher I know for show, bro. So that's what you got.
Brother.
And then he also shouted out Shawanda Clark.
Shout out to Shawanda.
I have a shout out to Von Shay Green.
Shout out to Von Shay.
And then you have a whole little list here. Wait, hold on. We got missed one. We don't want to miss them. We'll start right with that one.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So Autumn Redis, she shout out Jessica O'Laughlin. So shout out to Jessica. Trisha said, shout out to Chris's teacher, Amanda Khalil. We also, Akira Miller, shout out Michael Pyle, Michael Conacher, Tara McGuire, Nancy Cruz, Mrs. Campbell, Mrs. Bloomberg. She shout out you, Miss Amy.
Yeah.
She shouted out Megan Elizabeth.
Who I can also shout out because I also worked with Megan Elizabeth. Great, phenomenal
she's
teacher.
dope. Yes, and Mrs. Nugent. And Kira said, I literally love all my teachers, but I can't name them all. So yeah, we had some amazing.
And then we had one on TikTok.
And then we had one on TikTok too. So it was just everywhere.
Hold on, I'm gonna shout that one out too. I want to make sure we get everybody's shout out.
Yes.
So shout out to Terrence Cole Jr. from Ryan Smather.
Is that what his last name is?
I don't know.
Let me see. It might be.
It looks like it.
Ryan
Smather.
No, like it says Ryan Smith.
Ryan S. Mayer.
Ryan S. Mayer.
I don't know. But shout out Terrence Cole, otherwise known as T. Cole.
Yeah.
So
and speaking of, shout out to T. Cole, who just dropped his children's book.
Yes.
Yeah, so we got to give him a hand clap on that one. Yes. So if you don't know who T. Cole is, he's one of the hosts from the Drunk Unks podcast. But outside of the Drunk Unks podcast, he's an educator over at Scott High School. He's a coach as well. But he dropped his first children's book, and I want to say it's called Not Today, but I believe it's something like that. I don't want to misquote.
So you just keep talking and I'll figure it out.
But he dropped his children's book. Is really dope. He just announced that he's going to do a series of children's books. And so I was able to have a conversation with him not too long ago and really just wanted to know his thought process on why he dropped the book. And he said that he dropped the book because he was really inspired by Dr. Seuss as a kid. And he said that when he was growing up with Dr. Seuss, he was like, you know, he was really inspired by like the crazy colors in the book and like the characters and stuff. And so when he made this book, he wanted that same feel, but he wanted it to be with representation of people of color. Yeah. And so he felt like that was really big. And so he dropped the book and you can get it on Amazon. He now has paperback and the hardcover is out. It's also, I believe it's also maybe on Kindle. Yeah, things like that.
It's called "But Today Is Not That Day."
Oh, but today is not that day. There we go. So
you can see how colorful it is.
Yeah. So, but today is not that day. And so, but he said his book was inspired by his son too. So that was really dope. Yeah. So make sure you go and get the book. It's a really good book, and he's.
You know what? Why don't you just go buy it for the teachers in your kids' lives and donate it to the classroom?
Well, and he's actually been giving away free books and going to different schools.
But we want you to go buy it.
We want you to go buy it.
So you go buy the book and donate it to your child's school, the school library, teacher, preschool.
Yeah. Go ahead and get it. Yes, but he's going to be dropping more though, so make sure y'all look for that.
Get them all.
Yes.
Get them all to the teachers.
Do you have any educators you want to shout out?
I mean, I feel like I have been worked with so many amazing educators. Yeah. Like we would be here all night, like literally all night.
Yeah.
Obviously Miss Schaller, who was that was the one that looked at me and noticed that I had potential to be an educator.
Yeah.
Miss Thomas was my student teaching advisor. Miss Page, they both are my student teaching advisors. Mm-hmm. They taught me everything that I know. I've just worked with so many amazing teachers and educators and counselors over the years. Like there's just too many to count.
Too many to count. Yeah.
And all my kids' teachers too. I should shout them out because you put up with my kids. And listen, that is not an easy task. Yeah. So thank you for what you do.
I'm glad you know that.
Well, and it's not even that they don't misbehave. Well, the younger ones don't as much, but they're just kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
At least they are for me. Maybe they're probably not for you.
Probably not for them, yeah.
But thank you for teaching my kids and for, I know my youngest son's teacher, he didn't love reading. He is obsessed with reading. I don't know what changed. I don't know what this teacher, I don't know what magic she worked.
Yeah.
But she's got him reading. Like he's begging me to go to bookstores. I bribed him to behave himself the other day. I'm like, he's like, I just want a book from the bookstore.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. I can bribe you with books now?
That's dope.
And I'm going to teach him how to get bribed with library books next. That's the next goal.
Yeah.
We're just free ones.
Yeah. So shout out to all the educators, man. I don't care if you are a daycare teacher. I don't care if you are a para, if you are a Title I teacher, classroom teacher, assistant principal, whatever you do in schools, coaches, mentors, case managers, whatever that you do, shout out to all you guys. I do want to say shout out to one of my favorite people. Her name is Kim Scribner. She was an amazing person that I had the privilege. She was my dean actually at one of my previous schools. She is the one that mentored me in order to move up in the educational world to leadership and admin. I had the privilege of being up under her for 3 years, and she taught me so much in the game that literally I probably would not be in where I'm at now in the educational field if it wasn't because of her. And I don't mean like position wise, but really just like the teacher that I am and like the skills that she gave me. Like she really did her big one. And so shout out to her. Of course, we have to say shout out to Dr. Tash and Dr. Bernie. They were on our show last year around this time, actually. So they are some amazing educators. They're doing big things. And I just love how, over at Rise and Shine Academy, holding it down for urban education and working hard to provide quality education, no matter where the location is. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want people to think just because a school is in a certain part of town that they're not providing quality education. So shout out to them. Shout out to you for always holding it down with your kids and mental health and providing your kids with the resources and tools they need to be successful. But yeah, man, shout out to all the educators, man. We truly love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And thank you guys for impacting the lives of kids, man. As we say, it ain't tough. Well, it ain't tough, but it also ain't easy.
Right.
So, but yeah, we appreciate y'all.
So it's about to be the weekend.
Yeah.
It's Friday night.
Ooh.
So you know what? take the weekend and let it be yours.
Yes.
Turn everything off. Turn those notifications off. Don't you check that email. Don't you make a lesson plan.
What did Kendrick Lamar say? Turn the TV off.
Turn the TV off.
Well, turn it off after we're done.
Like,
right
not now, but like after we're done. And just have a weekend. You deserve it. Treat yourself to something, whatever it is. It doesn't have to cost money. Just do something for you because you deserve it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we appreciate y'all for tapping in and tuning in with us. On the next episode, be episode 60. Mm-hmm. It's our season finale. And as we said, we are going to have Mr. Rob Campbell from A Service Heart LLC as they are presenting Gospel on the Green 2025. In August, it's going to be 2 days. And like I said, they're going to have Ty Tribbett, Kiki Shear, Fred Hammond, and a list of other amazing gospel artists. And I'm talking about major gospel artists, like huge. So
there's going to be a lot of praising Jesus, and we're going to love it.
It sure is. We love praising Jesus.
We do.
So
maybe we can get some of them to come to our trap church when we open it.
I love a good trap church
gospel.
Yes, I love that. We need to start working on that now. We should.
We'll ask when they come.
So, but yeah, they're going to be on the show to help us celebrate 60 episodes, and then for our season 4 finale, and then. Yeah, man. Then we always take our little summer break. But
you're not going to get rid of us because we're going to have more exclusives and interviews and events. And we do have
May 23rd, like I said, episode 60 for the season 4 finale. And and we'll check us out through the summer. So I'm Big T.
I'm Miss Amy.
And you officially tuned in and tapped into the hottest podcast that brings you the latest in music, news, and fashion, and the only show that keeps our ears to the streets.
While you grind and shine.
Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Want to get the word out about your business or organization? Well, the hottest podcast now offers the hottest sponsorship packages, starting as low as $15. That's right, $15 will help you get your business and organization out to millions and millions of listeners heard around the world. So make sure you go to the official Mud Talk Facebook page and check out our sponsorship packages right now.